Start the recording. All right, terrific,
Well, you did.
right? I'm a pro. Welcome to the Wednesday, December 17th Select Board meeting and including our a meeting with the Finance Committee that will be starting soon. We will start with the approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
I wasn't here.
You weren't here. I have looked them over and they look good to me, but we could postpone it until Ron is back if you'd like. I mean,
Or if we could postpone them until I actually have a chance to look over them.
even better.
Because I was not here at the meeting
Yeah.
to say, well, and just skim them.
That would be fine, I think. Steve, I saw no glaring errors. Steve, just for those of you who might be confused about what's happening, Steve is coming to us from his office this evening. Hold on, I'm trying to admit people at the same time. Steve, are we okay postponing the acceptance of the minutes? We don't see a problem with them, but Elise was not here and hasn't had a chance to
Yeah,
look.
I'm not sure. Looking at the packet, I'm not sure I included the minute, which was.
Well, you didn't. I saw them,
Which
they're
is
still on your website, but yeah.
Yep.
Well, we're
So,
gonna
yeah.
wait till.
We'll include them in the next meeting.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, public comment.
Can I do
Bet.
my committee report? briefly?
Absolutely.
There are two things that we had to do for the end of the L-chip grant we just finished out. And I wanted to share them with you. I'm not sure whether Steve sent the copies to you on this. One of the requirements is that annually, the committee has to do an inspection of the property. And Bruce and Ralph Padamano and I did our inspection, and I wanted to share those results with you. The other piece that we had to do was to do a capital improvement plan. And we have that with some things scheduled out that need to be done going out to the 2040. So that we can start budgeting for those things going ahead. So I did want to share those two documents with you. And I'll give Steve a copy.
Fantastic.
Brad, you can have one too. And then this was the,
Oh, there's more than one.
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
That has the stewardship plan at the back of it as well.
What
And
is this second? Oh, this is the capital.
this is the
improvement.
capital integrate plan. And the last page of that one actually is separated out to the parish stage set. The things that we have to do related to that, and the rest is for the building. So,
Fantastic.
there you go.
And Bev, I don't think, because I've known for a little while, but I don't think that we've talked about it in an in a meeting.
Right.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And there was a very,
Yeah.
for those of you that don't know,
It was a gamble
Yeah, well.
to write the grant for $125,000, which we have to match
Yeah.
$125,000. I actually got some good news today because I thought we had to have all 125 raised before we could do anything. And they said, no, we've changed that. So for example, if we want to do the dehumidifier on the stage and it's $4,000, we need to raise the 2,000 and they'll give us the 2,000.
That is good news.
Oh, that's
At
very
up
good
to
news.
50%
Yeah.
of the
So you can
grant.
start somewhere.
So we can, so
That's
like painting the building.
Yeah.
That's very good news.
Yeah, so that was good news to me that, that we could piece it up to 50% of that, and get started and
Yep.
show results
Yeah.
as we go along.
That's a,
But
that's a significant award.
that's,
Yeah.
and
A lot
I
of
did
work.
some calculations today. Since we started this project, between the L-chip grants,
Mhm.
the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts, we have over 100,000 in grants that we've received for the town hall. In addition, we've had some other donations. A lot of the money has gone to the benefit of the stage set. A smaller amount has been to, I'll call it maintenance type things for the town hall. So we're upping our game for fundraising to try to get that match. And we're grateful for the Capital Reserve Fund, but we would like to ask that another amount for this year be put in, maybe increasing that to another 30,000 to get us started. I mean, if you think the painting alone of the town hall is $50,000.
And you'll be submitting that as a warrant article.
We can do that, or you can increase the capital reserve fund, one or the other.
Okay.
We can do it either
Okay.
way. Whichever you like. But we're very happy with our results. And I have to say, I'm the chair of the committee, but I could not do it without the rest of the people. If we need something, we call on people and they're there to help. The other calculation Nancy needed for a grant that she is hoping to get, well, one that we're finishing up and another that she hopes to get for another 20,000 or maybe a little less than that. We had to tell how many hours that we put in this last year.
Was that a scary total?
It was a scary total. It was 2,061 hours that our volunteers put in.
Good for you. That's,
So I think that's significant.
yeah,
That's huge, and I think we often hear about it being difficult to get people to volunteer for committees and do the work, but your committee is a is a fine example of getting things
And we'd
done.
love to have more
So,
people help.
yeah. Okay, noted.
Any other questions from anybody at all?
maybe after I read this. but-
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
thank you. And Mark Hardy has his hand up, and then I also see that Clint has something in public comment maybe, but we'll start with Mark.
Oh, okay. Let me put my hand down. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. No, I really feel moved after, I guess it's a week ago now, but 2 weeks ago now, the trash gate or whatever Steve might be calling it. I just want to, it's a shout out to Steve and Michelle both for their calmness and diligence and grace under pressure with a really kind of a perfect storm situation that I'm sure aggravated a lot of people. It aggravated me only because I don't have enough space in my tote to hold two rounds worth of trash. But at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon, a guy in a flatbed pulled up and put it on the back of his truck. And I happened to be driving in, and I was very grateful to him, and I told him so. But I am particularly grateful to the town, the town side of it, that I just think handled a weird situation with a tremendous amount of grace. And I think they should be commended for that.
Terrific, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that trash pickup is always something, right? Steve, do you have more calls about trash pickup than anything else?
On a week like last time,
Yeah.
yes. When it's going well now, it goes very well. I mean, they've got a couple of issues right now. The recycling truck that would pick up the recycling toters is out of commission. So if people have noticed the last 2 cycles, they're back to using a dump truck, a garbage truck, essentially. That should be corrected for the next time. But if we have snow, it's very clear they're not very good. I think that the next step is going to be getting Plainfield residents to download this app that will let them tell them, they don't have to involve the town office. They'll tell the residents directly when they're coming. So more on all of that. But thank you, Mark Hardy, for your kind words. Amy, is it your sense that for Bev's group, that next meeting when Ron is here, we would talk about which approach to go for adding monies
Yeah.
at the next meeting?
I think so. I think, we're gonna do a lot of listening tonight and then Ron, who's regularly our chair, will be here. So wouldn't wanna make that decision tonight, but I think we should and can quickly.
Okay, no, I was just wanted to get my minutes right. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll make it when Ron's back. So I saw in the chat, Clint was asking if this was public comment. I don't know if you had public comment, Clint. I don't wanna welcome and it's nice to see you're with us, but yeah, did you have comment or were you just asking?
No, I'm good. I was just responding to Mark's, his inquiry as to whether we were still in public comment, and I
Oh,
indicated.
you had responded to Mark. I'm sorry. I missed that. I thought it was the other way around. So
No
anyway.
problem. I'm
Great
good.
to have you with us. Great. All right. Other public comment. Okay. Maria, there's someone behind you had her hand up first and then you will be next.
Hi, I'm here tonight for a special reason, a very special reason.
Oh,
This could be very important to our town, and I love our town. And something happened. I said to my husband, let's do our test. We do a test every 2 years for radon.
oh.
And so he said, okay, so we did the test. And it was not good. So it was 14 and it should be 4 or below. And so we keep very exquisite records. And so we only had the records for the past 8 years. So it started out at 0.5, excellent,
Yeah.
and then it went to 2.5, then it went to 1.6. These are every 2 years. And then it went to 14, which is, well, not good at all. In fact, the 1.6, I would have started, but anyway, that's why I'm here, is to give you this information.
Yeah.
I called the Department of Health and Human Services, and the number 2 killer lung cancer in the United States, in New Hampshire, 2 as well. These are statistics I got from the Department of Human Services, Health and Human Services, and is radon. And we have lots of it here. But the thing is, I don't think people realize how this can hurt you. And we've been in our house 37 years, and fortunately, everything's okay. I had a lung CT scan because I'm right where it was strong. And so I said to the woman, well, what is it? How did this change? What happened? So here's what happened. You could remove a large tree. You could explode something. Construction, tannerite, whatever. And if it's close enough to you, if there's an earthquake. In fact, she told me about an earthquake in Maine that they had a whole bunch of people had to treat their homes to remove this. So anyway, I talked to her for about an hour and a half. They were wonderful at the state. And she's going to be here in Meriden at the Meriden Library February, I believe it's 16th or 17th. It'll be on the library agenda. And she's gonna do a presentation, and it's Radon Awareness Month. And I don't think I was as aware of how bad it could be and how it is dependent on your neighbor. If they blow something up and you don't test, you don't know. And anyway, so you can, and hopefully she's applied for a grant to get monitors that can be circulated from the library. So it's not even gonna cost you anything. So I'm just really hoping that a lot of people turn out for this, because it could save your life, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, really, it could. And I mean, I'm old and I have some health problems, so I'm gonna be a little bit more. You know, I might be affected a little bit more than someone who's 32 and, you know, but it doesn't matter really,
Mhm,
because it could. Your children,
mhm.
your pets, everything, you know, I thought, oh no, the cats. And my husband looked it up and he goes, yes, cats can get
Wow.
lung cancer from radon. So anyway, that's the only reason I'm here, although I do have a comment about traffic.
Okay,
But I really wanted to let you know this. I think it's really important. In fact, I might even talk to Jim at the library and see if I can put flyers up, because what if I hadn't done this?
Yeah.
We have someone coming January 13th to mitigate it.
yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's as soon as we could get them.
Yeah,
And if they turn out to be really good.
Yeah.
You have a reference, you'll have, you know, somewhere you can go. And so that's it. That's
Well, thank
all I
you.
wanted
Thank you
to
for
tell
sharing
you,
that.
Except for the
That's-
traffic.
okay. Do you want to share your comment for traffic now or?
Sure,
Yeah, I
that would
mean,
be fabulous.
Yeah, okay, we'll allow that.
I think
Before,
I
before
think
you
it's,
do that, could you get that, information about the presentation at the library?
yes, it's, hold on, February 17th.
Okay, and
Marion
we'll
Library.
double check that and make sure that it's in our minutes too, and make sure that,
And I
yeah,
will-
we'll get that.
I believe, don't quote me in this, it's all
Okay.
from memory and I'm old. I believe it's 6 o'clock.
Okay,
And I think a lot of people ought to be.
yeah, absolutely, I appreciate
Everybody
your
should
letting
tell
us know.
everyone they know, because this is such a wonderful town, and who wants that? She even has statistics on how many radon findings the state had. Over the course of like 20 years. I mean, she's
Yeah.
really a wonderful resource, and she's gonna be here.
Well, that's really interesting.
Isn't that
And
wonderful?
Well, yeah, and I do appreciate your sharing it.
And she
So-
can, you can ask questions and you can learn, and if you need a reference for a company, hopefully this will be good.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to give it to
All
you.
right.
So, you know, I think it's really important, so
And,
that's.
and did you just, to follow up on that, did you get the reference from the state or did you find this
They,
person?
the
on your
state
own?
has a list of references.
Okay,
We called one reference and he came and it was not.
okay. I won't make any names. I'm just curious about where one would
It
get a
was not
reference.
good. So he was very nice, but it wasn't the right person or company. And the one we have now seems very good.
Okay.
We'll see,
I
but
hope
we,
so.
it's in the contract, right in his contract, that if it doesn't go below 4, they will be out there to fix it no matter how many times.
All right, fantastic. Well, hopefully it'll be quick and easy and take care of it the first time. And your comment about traffic.
Well, I do want to say one
Oh,
more
sure,
thing
sure.
about the radon.
Sorry, I thought you.
Because it just came into my mind. Radon changes. In my bedroom, it was 14, which is way too high. But my husband just checked it before I left, because I thought it would be interesting, because these monitors that you can use, and hopefully she'll get with a grant, so she can give it to our library, so it can circulate. It was 8. This is still too high, but that's my point, and they'll do it free every 2 years, that's why we did it 2 years apart.
Mhm.
But she suggested to me when I talked to her last week, do it every year.
Yeah.
Because it changes, it can change.
Yeah, I mean, the fluctuation seems wild, right? So,
Yes,
yeah.
that's why I called her, because I was like, we never had you know, we tested and we never had a radon problem, and then bam. There was an explosion this past summer.
Hmm.
I don't know where it came from, but it moved my furniture. So that could have done it, and I didn't even ask her about that. She's the one that suggested it. So if you have construction in your area, or someone takes down a huge 200-year-old tree or something, anything that's gonna move the earth.
Interesting.
So anyway, and the traffic, the traffic. I live on Route 120,
Mhm.
and on the south side of 120, there's a curve and a hill. And on the north side, there's a curve. It's
Mhm.
pretty far away, but if you're going 70 miles an hour, it's not.
Mhm.
And I almost got it this past June, I think it was, and it was a truck, and he must have, I don't know how fast he was. But somebody said it wasn't my time, because he was able to stop and so every time I go out of my driveway, I like
Yeah,
got it, because I don't know, and I can't see. So I just wish that, I hate to say, because I'm sure it won't be a popular thing to say, but I wish it wasn't, the speed limit wasn't so high, because it's 50 miles an hour.
so we've been talking an awful lot about the speed limit. 120 though, I believe, is a state road, and that's the
Yeah,
problem.
no,
But our chief has been in contact with the state. You've talked to them. I mean, as much as that, I mean, you're aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, very aware,
So
and
is
you
this
don't love
area
it
you're
either.
talking about, is there, because there's a curve coming out of your driveway, is there like a blind spot where you
no,
can't
it's
see?
not coming out of my driveway.
No, I mean, when you're coming onto 120, is there a curve that's creating a blind spot?
Oh, yeah, to the south.
Mm.
It's a hill, you know where Busy Bee,
Mhm.
yeah, that's where it is.
Yeah.
It's just past them, south of them. And if you're going 70 or 65,
Mhm.
I don't have a chance to see you because, and plus, I only have eyes here, I don't have them here and here.
Mhm.
So what happened with this time where I almost got hit is I looked. And then I looked, and then I started to
Yeah.
go. And he must have been coming 65.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't say, but he almost hit me.
I think we appreciate that, like, you know, it's not good, and I appreciate your sharing the story with us, because the
It's
more.
not gonna change anything,
No,
I
but,
know.
but the more evidence we have or stories we hear helps,
That's
right?
what I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
hoping.
it keeps us aware of the
And that's what I
situation.
was hoping,
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
I'm gonna try to make a little noise to the state, but I have, and they did put up a sign, I think they put up a blind driveway. But people don't read signs, I'm one of them, well, road signs I read, but
I
in
know.
the grocery store, forget it, I can be standing in front of the couch and think. Well,
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
thank you so much.
Did you have a?
Yeah, just-
What?
It's a monitor, it's a very small monitor, it doesn't have any wires, you're not gonna trip on it. It works very well, it works quickly, this is all new technology.
Mhm.
Years ago, you had to leave it sit there
Right,
for
it's
a
true, right?
week or 2
Yeah.
weeks, or we just had one that we had for 3 months.
Yeah,
And that's how we caught it.
that's amazing.
And
Brad had a comment, or Brad had,
if you go on,
Oh, not Home Depot?
no, I think you can get it there, yes,
yeah, I
because-
think so too.
they'll tell you, but yeah, we didn't get it from the state.
And
We-
it looks like our libraries might get some, Maria, but you can get them. I
Yeah,
think,
well, she's applied, the woman at
Yeah.
DHHS applied for a grant for these. Some towns in New Hampshire have them
Yeah,
because they
They
did
do.
this. So, and the other thing is you might, and I'm hoping the select board considers this. I'm
Mhm.
not an administrator. I don't know how to do these things, but I do know that it would be helpful if people that blow things up
Mhm.
A, let you know they're gonna blow something up, and B, have some kind of backup to let you know if they don't let you know. I mean, I just don't think people should be allowed to blow things up and not let anybody
Yeah,
know.
we can certainly look into that. I don't
I
know
wish-
about something that got blown up, so
Well,
we'll,
that's my
you're
point.
right. So
I
yes,
don't either.
we can look into that.
But it
Before-
moved my furniture, and the
Yeah,
woman
yeah.
at DHHS said that's the number one reason.
That's
That
interesting.
can happen,
Yeah.
because it's,
So before you go, Brad had a suggestion, I think, maybe on- or
It's
something,
mostly
a
just a
comment.
little take heart. There is right now a program through the federal government happening at the county level. It's a federal program called Safe Streets for All. And a plan for the count for Sullivan County is being done by an engineering group. They've already identified 120 and 12A as high injury
Oh.
susceptible based on accident history, and they're looking at it through a county filter, but they're taking all the same stats when we have an accident, they fill out the forms and it ends up with the state, they're pulling those back and looking at and targeting and basically identifying the space, the areas, road segments that are prone, seem to be prone to having accidents. It would be the basis for then applying for grants to mitigate those things. So where 120, it would be the state wanting to change something, they could get access to this money if those measures had been statistically recommended by this study. That study is going to be delivered in March. And so there's a funding cycle happening in June. And so I'm actually going to talk to the chief, but we just found out about this in the last few days when I was doing some looking into our local speed question that
Yeah.
they put together a proposal for. So a bunch of threads out there that might lead you to have a little bit of hope that things might actually be able to be changed. And so,
So you'll have this information, whatever you come up with online at our town.
so the chief has already produced a proposal. The select board is in the process of considering that proposal. And I offered to get some data to help support specific actions or locate what was already known about our road segments. And that would help them implement a proposal or understand the impact and measure the impact of the proposals. So it's a whole bunch of different activities that are sort of closely related to your
Percolating.
concern.
Yeah.
Right,
Good.
and so
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah.
So as long as, so that's what I want to make sure I can find out what comes out, how this shakes out by our website. Eventually.
Eventually, right, yeah,
Well, of course.
eventually, yeah, and certainly, hopefully you'd see a speed limit sign go up in a different amount, right? Then you'd really know, but yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And,
Yeah.
you know what, and feel free to contact Steve and, you know, and ask us again if you don't feel you've had any answers. But hopefully we'll get some. It's something we're very aware of and we're working to make
Patience
things
is a
better.
virtue. They
I know,
say.
but it's hard when
You know,
someone's going
no, I'm
speed on your
actually,
road.
sometimes I'm too patient.
Oh,
I mean, I've been there
Okay.
37 years
okay.
and I called him. I don't recall ever calling anyone
Mhm.
about traffic.
Yeah,
So, but anyway, but I think traffic's worse anyway.
yeah.
I think they're going faster and I don't know why. But
It certainly
thank you
could be.
for
Thank
letting
you.
me talk and I
Thank
hope
you.
everybody is at the library.
Okay,
Okay,
excellent.
take care.
Thank you. Maria, you were next on my list for public
Yeah,
comment.
because we're gonna be reviewing the budget.
That's right.
I just wrote something and I sent it to Steve.
Okay,
I don't know if he sent it all to you. We don't live in a vacuum. Here's what's happening around the country. I found some reports. Every fiscally responsible company is gearing up for the inevitable and long predicted recession. There will be upheaval everywhere. No one can be blind to continue to do the same as before due to stubbornness or lack of ideas. We must align together on a transformational approach to deploy an affordability plan to meet the community's needs, to avoid having to sink the taxpayer into a hole he may never be able to get out of. Step back to foster introspection on how to better transcend the differences between the select board opinions and the Pellingfield residents who have been tightening their belt while leadership went hog wild on spending. The proper leadership would build trust across the board, humility instead of arrogance, kindness, understanding, and respect for the community by listening to the people who are committed to keeping our town in one piece. The wake-up call requires major adjustments to the status quo. We must make considerable changes as united with one goal to make a difference by thoughtfully lowering the budget as it is carefully reviewed. We managed to build 325,000 trust funds in prior years. It is time to stop spending as if there was no tomorrow. We cannot squeeze blood from a stone. Be considerate to the community who are forcing to foot an unrealistic and unaffordable bill. So this is what the taxpayers face in 2026. One company says half of companies say 50% of field workers will get a raise in 2025. Only 15% of companies will give raises to all employees. 68 cite economic uncertainty for withholding raises. 23% of companies promoted employees without a pay bump. Nearly half of companies expect layoffs in 2026. Only 50% of companies will give every worker a raise, and about half say only 50% of fewer employees will see an increase this year. Nearly 1 in 4 companies, that's 23%, according to them, say that at least some promoted employees did not receive a raise despite receiving a title change. Among employers giving smaller or no raises this year, 68% blame economic uncertainty, 53% cite cost-cutting measures, and 28% say the labor market favors employers. And there's more that I listed that you'll be able.
We'll see
to
that
put in the
then,
thing.
yeah. and
But
we'll
I
do
just
that.
want you to know that your decisions, you know, year after year, has there ever been any decrease in the budget? No, that's unrealistic, but we can maintain what we had before. So looking at all the stuff that people are gonna be facing, right now, we only have 2 people that owe 80,000 in taxes, and the other person owes like 50 or whatever. All our taxpayers do their due diligence to pay their taxes on time, you know? But if they cannot even, they get laid off, like they say here, where's the money gonna come from?
Mhm.
Stephanie will be very, very busy. You know,
Stephanie's already
so I just want, when they review the budget.
Yeah.
To think thoughtfully of the community, especially the senior citizens who are on fixed income. And the other poor people that right now can't depend on SNAP or all the other benefits that, you know, on account of that. So this is my plea to you, the select board, to,
Mhm.
you know, take that into
Absolutely.
consideration.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment this evening? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to department reports. Do you wanna go first, Brad?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just going around.
All right, just go around the table.
Unless anyone has to leave, like, you're all, okay.
So under facilities, we had a second snow event, and so we're still figuring out how to work together with highway to shovel and plow, and I think it went reasonably well, but always room to improve bits and pieces here and there. I've gone around and sort of inventory where we have ice melt buckets and scoops and made sure that, you know, we got stuff to get our walkways covered and added some, when we didn't have them. Just did the annual elevator inspection with Stanley over at Philip Reed Library. And at the same time, they did the fire inspection. I know we passed on the elevator. I haven't received the report from Mike Kopp yet, but I just believe we passed and they may have swapped out some batteries. But we also, back a month or so ago, did a walkabout with Hampshire Fire to have them give us a proposal to do annual testing of our emergency lighting, because it was something that wasn't picked up in a couple of facilities, and so we're gonna start doing that on a more deliberate basis, so we're going through them every year. Let's see. Gas furnace at the pump house, decided not to work for a bit, ended up having Bill Moshe come take a look. In the end, replaced the thermostat and things are back running, but we had to do temp electrical heat for a little bit. 2 of the 3 spotlight, parking lot lights at Philip Reed now have bulbs.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
I had hoped to be able to
Progress.
replace the head with new LEDs, but
Yeah.
those turned out to be $3,000 a pop.
But you
And
found,
so we're gonna
okay.
find a way to do that some other way, but in the meantime, we got bulbs in the other posts, and so
Fantastic.
now they have lighting during the evening hours. Under the water department, we're getting ready for the Q4 meter reading. We've got total of 53 of our meters, so we got a total of 119 accounts. We're in the process of swapping out the old equipment for new equipment, and we had originally targeted 40. We got those done, and the plumber still had time, and so we jumped on another quarter, another 40. And so we got a total of 53 installed, and of those, 44 are self-reported. So I don't have to go read the meter on the side of the building. So roughly a third of our district now, I don't even have to visit when it's meter reading time. That's a higher hit rate than we dared hope for.
I
And so
thought that was a higher percentage
Yeah.
than you were
Yeah,
expecting.
we just didn't know what to think, but we justified it based on a bunch of different variables, but in the end, we're very pleased with this. This is a good thing. Let's see, so, and you just signed the grant documents for the engineering review of the treatment plant, so we had the issue with the arsenic mailing, because we had a high arsenic test. So we're still sorting through next steps, but basically, we are currently putting all of our water through a filter that used to just handle half our water. So that's slowing down the amount of water we can produce in a week. We're right at that tipping point of can we keep up on our max use days? We have a big flywheel in the tank, so we're cautiously optimistic, but we got a request to fill an ice rink. And now Maura and I are gonna sit and see, it's not a huge amount of water.
right.
In the
But-
big scheme of things, it's 5,000 gallons and we've got a 130,000 gallon tank. But before we would've said, fine, go ahead and do it. Today, I'm waiting for a conversation with Maura and we're gonna put a pencil to it and make sure that's
Yeah.
proven. I suspect it will go forward and everybody will be happy and we'll get an ice rink for the folks and all that. Let's see, other projects, the Hub 66, I assembled a packet of info on the town IT needs. And had a recommended vendor to provide, so Mark Cohen, our current provider of IT services, is retiring. And is working with us to find a replacement. And we're looking for someone to help us evaluate this proposal from Hub 66 on how to configure and if to configure to align ourselves with fiber optic, which seems like a great idea, but it's a different burden of work than Mark had to do for us. And so we're trying to make sure we've got somebody in place so that the libraries know if they don't have internet, who do they call? They aren't gonna call Steve. They're gonna have
They could.
a Mark Cohen type.
Yeah.
Who is on board, up to speed with us and with the new fiber portion of it. And so I've got 3 vendors. I put the packet to one vendor today, or actually at the end of last week, and the other 2 will go out tomorrow. So we'll, at some point, be looking at numbers for a Mark Cohen replacement and help to make this decision about Hub 66. Hub 66 doing their own thing. They're
Right.
progressing as best they can. The other little thing that I was working on a bit was at the last meeting, Chief made the proposal about traffic and I offered to see what data was available. What do we know about our road and signage and speed zones now? And that's how I came across this federal project happening at the county level. And it looks like, so the next bite at the apple, where we could put something in the form of an application to maybe get some funding, it looks like would be a March application for a June-ish decision. So we might be able to round up some money by second half of next year to do the kinds of things. And the way I say it that way is because
Yeah.
I'm still finding out what their criteria and mission is. And if there's an overlap, then there may be
Right.
money.
And for what we wanted to do,
Exactly.
right? Like,
Right, so it's early
Yeah.
days.
okay,
And I'm trying not to slow him down or do anything that slows that
Nice
process
one.
down.
Slow him down.
Yeah, sorry, I hadn't thought of that. Well,
yeah.
not to exceed.
Uh-huh.
But anyway,
Yeah.
hopefully help, but if not on this one, then the next one.
Well, yeah,
Put us in a position.
just being aware of the grants is
Yeah,
helpful.
exactly.
And
And
see what
so-
we can do.
Well, and they're doing some interesting, so they are actually collecting data that they may, and this is a question to them, but I believe they will make it available to us. So it dovetails nicely with our gathering what we know about our GIS type information. This is GIS type information. So it would be like other layers that
Yeah.
we could add and then we could build on. So we might be able to get road segment elevation, pitch and banking kind of information from DOT or this group in Claremont. And then we could put, where are our signs? And the chief could be looking at a map saying, if I want to change all my 25s to 35s.
Yeah.
What,
Where do
you
I-
know, they light up on the board as to which color, and you can say, oh, 27 of them or 13.
Yeah.
And you can say, okay, most of them are over here, so, you know, when's a good time to do it, or how do you, yeah, there's a bunch of things that could come out of that. So anyway,
Cool.
just early stages.
Yeah.
And building inspections have started. I've done 7 since Dave left a few days ago, so.
All right.
Oh, and electrician walked through on highway for a heat pump installation. He's supposed to call me with a date that has held up the swapping out of those recycled heat pumps. But hopefully he'll give me a date, we'll get the electric in, and we'll be able to set the units.
Terrific. Thank you. Chief?
So far for the month of December, we've had 5 motor vehicle accidents, all that were weather related and 1 car accidents. We switched out car 2 and 3 to equal out the mileage because we have 1 car that's not being used, so we switched it out. Some put 1 away and put mileage on the other ones, so they're equally being mileaged out. And we had to fix an electrical issue that was caused by when they were outfitted with the emergency lights and power and caused a dead battery, so that has since been fixed. And the car that's on the road now that we switched out has snow tires on it, so we're good to go for the winter season. On Friday, December 5th into Saturday, December 6th, residents on Freeman Road and River Road were the victims of mailbox vandalism. A total of 7 residents were affected. With anonymous tips and good police work, we were able to identify and locate 4 individuals involved. We were able to obtain a full confession from the individuals involved. We are working with them to provide restitution to the victims as well as letters of apologies. It is my standing not to arrest the individuals involved, but to use it as a learning moment. All 4 individuals are 19 years old. We actually met with them tonight prior to tonight's meeting, had a discussion, discussed everything. I don't feel that putting an arrest on a 19-year-old that's going to stick with them through the rest of their life, which will prevent them from getting employment and whatnot. So we are working to provide restitution and letters of apology from them. Clearly, they owned up to it. They came in, they talked to us, and
You didn't feel it was a professional robbery ring?
no,
Yeah.
it was just young kids doing
Making a
something
big
stupid,
mistake.
made a mistake, and
And are learning their lesson.
We hope.
so.
Mhm. Okay.
We conducted a lockdown drill at the Estabrook School today, which went well. We tested their emergency buttons that went to our dispatch center, so they are good to go. And that's all I have for my report.
So basically we was plowing, plowing, sanding and salting. There we go.
Okay.
First time I took out the Mac, it broke down. It did about December 2nd. Wiring issue. It actually got it back today.
Okay, that's
So that's a plus.
good. That's good.
So I replaced the cutting hinges on the loader. They're getting down. Cleaned the sidewalk off. We got that cleaned off. I think we did a couple times. Worked on equipment as needed because it's been pretty chilly out anyways. Hasn't been the warmest out. And started crushing yesterday. And I figured they got must be about 2,400 yards, and we got about another 1,000 or so to do, so that's gonna be good. That should be done hopefully tomorrow. And Steve will be happy with this one. Got the truck cut in half, state come, got the hole drilled. She was here
So I was gonna ask you about that tonight. So that happened, you did that today, Rick?
that happened today.
Excellent. So now we can go ahead and seek reimbursement. So good. Good. I know what I need to do, and I'll work on that now that that's been, and they were happy with what they saw?
Yeah, they sat right there and watched us do it and whatnot, yep.
Okay,
Yep, done.
good. Good.
That's all I have.
I will seek, I've got the paperwork I need. I gotta do a little fine tuning, and I was gonna ask you, so that's excellent, Rich. Thank you.
And then probably we should probably end up, we're gonna have to replace truck six, I think it is, the 97. And there's still grant money there and you can do it with that, because she's wondering if we had any more that we wanted to do.
Yeah. Okay,
Still got money there, so we might wanna put in for another one.
do you know the date, like, is there a deadline for that?
I can find out.
And maybe just until, as long as the money exists in the world, right? Okay, yeah, we probably should, because we don't wanna miss that opportunity. if we
Right,
want
because they're
to.
looking for small towns like us to update our equipment. That's what she was.
Well, that's interesting. If there's money out there, we should look
Still.
into it.
Yeah, still the same one for the, both of them are still open, Steve, from what I gather.
And that's one of the little pickups, right?
Right, you know, we wanna do the 97. It's nice, 98 somewhere in there. It's about 200,000 on this time. It's rough,
Mhm.
it's falling apart.
Certainly worth looking into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. And then were you sticking with us for some of the budget hearing? Because we may be talking about the grader making
Not
them.
free as long as that's in it, when that's done.
As long as you can. Okay, well, we'll try to, if we're gonna talk about that, we'll try to get to that quickly. Was there more for your report?
No, I'm done.
Okay, great. Stephanie.
Hello, everybody. Had a wonderful kickoff to the holiday season at the KUA Community Luncheon. That happened last Thursday. The Penny Fellowship students and staff really transformed the student center into a beautiful dining hall. Everything was decorated, music. We had 3 young men get up and do karaoke for us. Everybody was laughing. They were trying to sing the songs and it was great. It was a huge success. We probably had about 65 guests there. So it really did kick off the season, and our town Santa showed up, which was really great.
Ah.
Even though he's in retirement, he still pulled out the sleigh and made everybody laugh. Holiday cheer and really the magic of the holidays is in the air in our community. Yesterday, my husband Tom and I went over to Max Maple and picked up 6 donated Christmas trees and 6 half-gallons of eggnog, and we're able to deliver these wonderful free gifts from our community to those in need. And it really brought a lot of smiles and some tears of joy when we showed up. So that was wonderful. We've had several Secret Santas out shopping for young and old in town, and those gifts with wrapping paper and bows and ribbons and things will be delivered on Friday and Saturday of this week. So the generosity is just amazing, and it's just overflowing, and I can't say thank you enough. So it's really fabulous. This weekend is our holiday food pantry. We're open Friday and Saturday from 9 to 10:30, drive through. But it's gonna be a wonderful festive weekend there. It is our free pet food weekend, so those that need some fluffy or Fido food, it will be provided by the Upper Valley Humane Society. Unfortunately, it's been a really frigid December.
Mhm.
People really aren't ready for the cold. We've had a lot of houses that have had frozen pipes. We've had a lot of people run out of heating oil and propane. So there's been a lot of requests for electrical and heating assistance. So we are really navigating those challenges right now because again, people aren't really thinking that, oh my God, my electric heat bill is already $500 and we're not even into the middle of winter yet. So thank goodness that we do have the trust funds, because we will be using some of those funds to help our neighbors in need right now. Was really excited, got a phone call from the New Hampshire Food Bank. They really like what we're doing in our small community for Plainfield, Meriden, and Cornish, and they've asked us to be a drop location for Sullivan and Grafton County. That will be taking place every other month, starting in February. This will be an extra drop where other local food pantries can come to us at the Christ Community Church and pick up more provisions for their communities. So very excited about being another step in the ladder of being a really good partner with the New Hampshire Food Bank and Feeding America. We will be having our first senior or community luncheon at the Plainfield Fire Station on Thursday, January 15th. So hopefully people can come out and say Happy New Year. And lastly, with my health officer hat on, please remember that illnesses are abound. We're gonna have lots of family coming in and out of the town for the holidays. Please take care of yourself, stay hydrated, and get lots of rest when you can, but truly enjoy family and friends during this time.
Well,
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, everybody.
thank you, Stephanie. I mean,
Thank you,
really a
Stephanie.
million, thank yous for all that you do and really all the department heads. I mean, every, you know, time I'm here, I'm like, wow, we have just an amazing team. So thank you all.
I do
Yeah.
actually have a question, Steph.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. When you were talking about, being a drop for the food bank and that, does the church have the space to accommodate that level of?
It only takes place in the parking lot, so other people that need to pick up the provisions literally drive up with their truck or their car. And the New Hampshire Food Bank brings off these pallets and people just load people's cars, so it never goes into the church. It literally goes from a box truck into somebody's car and then they drive away to their food pantry.
Okay, that parking lot's huge, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
Currently, we go to the Wellspring Church in Hanover, which is right across from Campion Ice Rink.
Mhm.
But they're looking for an additional spot every other month, and so they're coming to Plainfield, which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Chief Alter.
So as you know, the fire department calls go up and down. So if you back up till November 29th, we've had 20 calls since November 29th, and that added 2 more motor vehicle crashes, including the one today. So we've had 7 motor vehicle accidents with no serious injuries. Most of them, the ambulance gets turned around. 5 alarms from steam from cooking to malfunction to a dispatcher area where it was really the Pepper Hill Firehouse, not Welch over at Gateway. So we got there, no problem. We've done 4 medical assists. We had 2 structure fires, so we had one on the end of Underhill Road where the guy had it, the homeowner had it out before the police even got there.
Yeah.
And then later that day, we were at the one down in Cornish and, yes, it was cold. And then we had you mentioned it, last night's call was their propane tank went empty. So when a propane tank goes empty, there's not enough pressure to keep the system running and to get the smell of the mercaptan. So that was another one where we got there, and it's the fact that they'd run out of propane is what the problem was. And then we had a Cardigan Mountain bus thinking that they were going up Sanborn Road to get to the Cornish Elementary School and to turn around, and with a couple shovels, we got him out of the snowbank and back on the road. We asked him where he's going, he kept looking at his phone and there's no cell phone service there, and so we finally told him how to get to the Cornish Elementary School, and it's not up Sanborn Road.
We go pick up a few Lee's trees at the end of Sanborn.
Yeah.
Well, they're there.
So then other things, so along with the fire in Cornish, main engine, when the tank is empty, you're going back to get more, the tank level gauge freezes up. We've replaced the one on our tanker 3 times. It always happens in the winter, so I've got to get that down to Dingy Machine, just replace the sensor that tells you how much water there is in the truck. So right now you just gotta go by ear and feel when you run out of water, but hope to get that fixed very soon. Tonight after work, so the fire truck that we bought is now sitting in our station. We wanted to be like Meriden with 4 trucks in the 3 base stations. Now we have 4 trucks in UTV in our station on
That's
Plainfield
great.
side.
Yeah, that's great that it's here.
And then tomorrow I'm taking that over to Dingy Machine because there's some like corrosion that they're gonna fix before we put it in service, so. And a new light bar, and we're headed down that road, so maybe by New Year's we can get that in service. And then comes the discussion of how to sell the old one, so someone is interested in it, but not for 15 to 20,000. Dingy thinks we could get 15 to 20,000, so you start a little higher and be able to come down, so come January, we'll have to discuss on how we want to sell it.
Yeah.
There's many different avenues. You put it on municipal, there's 3 fire trucks there right now you can buy for $6,000, and this is worth more than $6,000.
Right,
So
right.
municipal is not the way
Right.
to go, in my opinion. But there's
Right.
many other ways, so, yeah, work in progress. We went 4 mornings in a row with a call between 7 and 8, so the K-Way Brigade members missed breakfast 4 mornings in a row.
Wow. Well, thank them all too.
Diet,
What's that?
diet control.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
It's like having dogs.
Did you have any questions? All right, so we're gonna go into the finishing our traffic and safety discussion. That's on our, do we want to do that tonight? Were you ready to do it? It's on the agenda, that's why I say it.
Probably not.
There's nothing new on that
No.
discussion. That's fine. We
No.
still have quite a bit more to get to. So that's fine. Were we gonna continue? On the agenda is the no through truck discussion about Daniels and Chellis.
I didn't know if we want to do that together or separate. I think
We could do them together. I mean, I don't know, was there anyone here for that? I had a feeling.
Amy, we posted up on, our social media page and around town that if people had comments and things.
Yes. So I know.
But I'm not sure that we had any.
Well, we have a Chellis resident here who would like to comment. And I think, you know, what we did last time is we were hoping to have all three of us here for any sort of a vote on it. Anyway, and Ron isn't with us, but we'd love to hear from you, Michelle.
So I'm not sure I'm ready to comment.
Okay.
I actually read all of Steve's posts,
Mhm.
you know, and so I think about a week or two ago, he said that there was going
Yeah.
through this process about traffic and trucks and
Yes,
speed limits.
Yes.
And then he named Daniels and he said you can submit comments
Yes.
or you can come to the select board
Absolutely.
meeting on the 17th. So here I am, but
And
I
here
don't
you
have
are.
anything to comment because I wanted to hear more about what was going to happen. But if you're not ready to talk about it.
well, we talked about it on the 3rd and had some comments then. And we can, I mean, we can give you a brief update on where, I mean,
Right.
what we're headed towards is.
Well, the whole idea
Well,
is
you go.
like Chalice Road and Daniels Road to eliminate through truck traffic as well as, from my understanding, is Chalice Road with KUA, there's gonna be a gate put there to prevent the students and everything cutting through on Chalice to reduce traffic, but because of first responders and safety reasons, they can't put a gate there.
So the gate is there, they just never close it. If you head down the side road to the back parking lot, it's way down there. It's just they never close it because that's their maintenance use of it anyway. So the gate is there.
But my proposal would be to put no through truck traffic, no through traffic whatsoever, so students or whatever coming to KUA are forced to go down Route 120 and come up Main Street instead of using Chalice as a cut through. And no through truck traffic basically says no trucks can go through that way unless they have a destination on that road in and of itself. So they can't just use it as a cut through. There has to be a reason for them to stop on Chalice Road or Daniels Road to make a delivery and whatnot. And looking at the speed limit signs, we wanna look at the speed there because it is a dirt road and it should, in my opinion, be down to 25 and there should be signage where there's a curve there. Cause I know I've already witnessed an accident there and so that's basically what I'm looking to do over there.
I think that's great. I think speeding's a huge problem. I always thought, I drive on the road a lot, obviously, because I live there. I always thought the speed limit is 25. But I know that there have been some really bad accidents. And one recently in November, I don't know if that's what prompted this or.
No, it was a variety of things, because I'm driving around town, as you know, I'm still fairly new here and driving around town, I don't believe that there's enough signage on the roads dictating what the speed limit is. So on my side, how can I enforce a speed limit if there's no signage, not enough signage to enforce the law, give somebody a ticket when they're responsible, well, I didn't know what the speed limit was, the thing was posted. So that's part of what the proposal in the study is, to determine where are we lacking signage, where could we reduce speed limits? Because yes, we know if it's supposed to 35 miles an hour, people are gonna go 40, 45. So if we reduce it to 25, then we know we're still reducing it and it brings awareness and we can enforce that, but 25, someone's still gonna go 30. Oh, that's just the nature of it.
So limiting trucks does not mean that it's just through traffic and if any resident on the road needs a new washer and dryer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
construction,
Yeah.
or a well drilled or so.
Delivery of oil,
Whatever it is.
propane, stuff
That's
like
really
that.
all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I want to make one other comment, which is relevant, but I understand it's a state, I mean, it kind of relates to the previous discussion about traffic, but when I turn off of Chalice onto 120, the exact same thing is happening that
Yeah.
the woman whose name I don't know was describing, where it's 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, there's a curve, it's blind.
Yes.
When I make that left, onto 120, I can't see people coming around the curve going north or south, and it freaks me out, actually. I go down the Meriden Vocal Court, which I don't know that the people who live there appreciate, but
I can see the traffic coming more than 50 miles an hour in both
Yeah.
directions. It's really only an issue and what I'm gonna call the morning and evening, rush hour,
Mhm.
so to speak. But I did just want to throw that out there if it's being thought about and there's.
That's one of the things we looked at, that section of 120 is 50 miles an hour, and it goes from, I think, 35, 50 through that stretch, and then it goes down to 35 or 40 again, because there's a bus stop there. But I believe that 50 miles an hour in that stretch is too much.
Well, people go, it's not the people who are going 50 that I'm concerned about, it's the
Right.
people who are going more than
Right.
50. So anyway, that's really all I have to say, and
Yeah,
thank you for letting me say that.
well, we appreciate you coming out to say it. And it's moving along, because, yeah, we'll continue the discussion and hopefully have some results from it, though.
There
Sooner
were
than
written
later.
versions of his proposal
Yeah.
on the flat file back there by the water cooler. About
But-
truck traffic language and
It sounds like you've been following that a little bit too, but if you want to take that.
So it's by the cooler.
I think there were copies of at least the
Thank
truck Kupa language. And
I'm trying to
don't
see,
know
I
if the
might
traffic
have
one-
some here I can give you if it's not there to Michelle. Yeah, this is it here, right? This is our one.
That is the
You can
proposed.
pass that to her, the proposed order. That's the proposed, yeah. I have it electronically too, and this was just a packet. So, all right, thank you. Steve, before we move on to the finance piece of all of this, did you have anything not finance related that you wanted as a report, just from the town administrator?
I think we can go right ahead into finance if that's what if you're good with that, Amy.
I'm fine with that. I'm sure we'd all be okay moving into that, so.
I'm gonna excuse
All right, yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Anything that
I need
doesn't
more hours
relate
in
to
the
that.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
And
Thank
so
you.
what might be good, Amy, and I
Yeah.
think we're still there, yes?
what?
Rich Collins is still with
Yes,
us.
Yeah, I'm
Rich
still
is,
here.
Rich is staying with us, so if we can maybe discuss anything that he may
Right,
wanna
The
offer
great
information first.
discussion first. If you looked on the town's capital improvement plan, you would see that the grader was scheduled to be replaced in 2029. In the meantime, the grader has blown a motor, so we don't have a grader right at the moment. And that brings us to sort of a point in time when we can look at other options, but there's really, I think, three options: is to buy a grader, which is probably a lease purchase, hire the work out and not have a grader, which would be unusual, but certainly could be done, or rent a grader for the period in the 6 months of the year. All of the choices cost us between $50,000 and $60,000 a year. And so if you look at the capital reserve contribution to the highway equipment fund, I have increased it as a placeholder by $50,000. So that I think there's no not having a grader. We're gonna have or access to a grader. And so, we're gonna spend something like 50 grand a year to get that. And for the moment, I've got it tucked in Highway Department Capital Reserve so that it's in the budget and it's not a surprise at the end. And I wanted, for the Finance Committee, which we are going to depend heavily on helping us make this decision, I wanted to give them and Rich an opportunity to talk together directly. And Richard, so Rich, if you want to talk about greater options, I'll shut up and go back to sipping my tea.
Very nice. All right, Rich, what would you like everyone to know about it? Because it's a huge amount, right? We're all aware of that and an unexpected amount, so.
So you got, what was the last, I don't even know what I was gonna do this, yeah, I thought you had all the budget stuff, but.
Well, we do, but we want to hear from you because we could make a decision that you're not going to like. So we want to make sure you get to weigh
I
in
think the
on.
last quote I got for John Deere was 272, if I remember right. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I know that the cat was 364, I think, or something like that.
Mhm.
But all reality is we're gonna have to have a grader, because if you got like it warms up in the middle of winter, you get mud ruts and stuff like that. We gotta fix that stuff. You know, it's just no way around it. And it's a lot easier with a grader than there's anything else.
So I think we appreciate that, that we need a grader. I mean, and there's no one to just call every time we need a grader.
Right.
Do we need a brand new grader?
That's totally up to, I did find another one that was like 129,000. I only had, I think it was 700 hours on it or something like that. It's just a little bit smaller than the one we got. It is all-wheel drive. I haven't had a chance to go look at it yet. I can find out if they still have it. It's not very far away. I can go look at that one.
Amy?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think if it's our decision and the select board's decision that we're gonna replace the grader, and Rich and I have been talking about new versus used options, maybe not as used as the one that we just got. But I think there is, if you're going to have a grader that we own, I think there would be overwhelming support in the community to having a brand new one that had a warranty, that was new technology, that was good. I'm not sure there would be as much support for a used one. No question, less money. You know, in talking to some of our locals who do dirt work and who sell equipment, you know, their feeling was, you know, hire out a bunch of the grading in the spring and then in the fall, and then use one of the other locals. You know, Alan Rowell is the guy that might or might not be able to come. We've used that Alan before. But the other option would be to, and then if you had washouts and things due to thunderstorms, hire that work out to either, you know, Kevin has a grader, Robbie Williams has a grader. We've used both of them. I tend to agree with Richard that the difference that we hear is the folks that give us the advice that I just described are in the private business profit making. They are not in the emergency services, my road washed out, we got to have it fixed now business. And so from them perspective, you know, to hire it out to do that kind of stuff makes perfectly good sense, because if they don't build the road today, they can build it tomorrow. I do agree with Rich that I think we need a grader in our inventory of equipment. And I'm just not sure I would have stomach for a used one if we're going to be spending an amount of money per year that's similar. One of the things that towns have is we get an incredible municipal discount on graders. So, you know, they don't sell a lot of graders. Two things we've discovered recently is right now, and I've heard this from John Deere and I've heard it from Caterpillar, you can't probably rent a grader for the summer right now. There was a time.
That's my other question is we heard
Right,
the
there
word
was a
rental,
time when they would have brought you a grader, been happy to take your $50,000 for the summer and taken it back, brought you another one next year. Right now, there's a shortage of graders. The inventory has never recovered from COVID. It hasn't been a priority of anyone. So both John Deere and Cat say we're not going to be able to rent you a grader. One of the things that I have had another local in the dirt business say to us is, okay, well, a grader's $300,000 and or $275,000, you can hire out some of your grading, buy a mid-sized excavator, which is a much more valuable piece of equipment for ditching. We use a grader about 500 hours a year. We would use an excavator a whole lot more than that. And the excavator costs less than half of a grader and probably would come with a blade. So in an emergency, Richard could fix a road with an excavator.
Okay.
So that's another variation of this decision that we've got to make between now and town meeting is, would you consider having an excavator instead of a grader and hiring the grading out? I would love to see us have a little excavator. I think that has a huge role in the highway department. I think the backhoe is a machine that is not designed to ditch roads, and an excavator is exactly designed to
Oh,
ditch
definitely,
road.
without a doubt.
What's that, Rich?
So without a doubt.
Um,
I feel a
But-
lot better.
but I think, you know, given the business we're in, where we have to respond in emergencies, where people depend on us, it does feel like having access to a grader is important, and having it in our shop is important. And if we're going to do that, then I think we should consider strongly getting a brand new one, just because, you know, we lease it for 5 years. The bill is 60 grand a year. We pay a bunch of interest, but we have to. We don't have money. We can pay it off early. So if we got cycled through these diesel grants that are consuming our capital reserve fund, you know, we're going to get a bunch of money back. And so if we got that money back into the account in 2 years, we could pay off the rest of the loan on the grader, and then be back to accumulating. But I really just wanted the finance committee tonight to hear from Rich, hear from me. And I mean, Rich, tell us about your experience. What camp are you in? You'd like an excavator and a grader, I'm sure. You're the
Oh,
road
yeah.
agent.
Definitely like to have both, but I still think you got 45 miles of dirt road. I think you're gonna, you know, your grader is very important. Without doubt. It's just, it's very important. Every time it rains, you get washes, you gotta go fix them. You get mud season, you could have 5, 6, 7 mud seasons this winter. As soon as it warms up, it could be muddy Friday and 55 degrees, where it's gonna be, it could be mud if it rains. And then you gotta go fix all those mud ruts. And so now we gotta do it a different way, because we don't have a grader, but it just takes a little longer.
Okay. Brad, oh, I'm sorry, actually, I think Elise had a question, then I'll go to you. Yep.
This discussion about the availability of these pieces of equipment brings me back to the diesel truck that it took us how many months, a year to be, from the time we said, yes, we want it. So is it the same kind of deal with a grader that you say, okay, I'm purchasing it, and 2 years later you get the piece of equipment because that's how long it takes for them to make it?
I'm not sure about that, but with the truck, you had to have it built, the cabin chassis done, then it went somewhere else for the upfit. And that
Is
takes
it
a
the
lot.
same for?
No.
I don't need to know why that one took so long. I need to know if the graders take that long.
Yeah, if we could get an answer to that.
I can find it out.
In talking to the John Deere salesman, the machine he has quoted is a new product, which might make some people a little bit nervous, that John Deere has come out with. It's built in Brazil, and they would be able to deliver it in the spring.
The spring, and by the spring, what do they mean by the spring?
I mean, I think, you know, March, April.
Okay, well.
And how soon would we need to be saying, yes, we want this piece of equipment for them to be able to get it to us then?
I think by the end of our budget process, one of the things that's interesting about the lease, the town has granted the selectmen the authority to spend out of the reserve fund. You are agents to expend. And the lease has a non-appropriation clause in it. And so should town meeting ever say, we don't want to fund that grader anymore, they would come and take the grader away and we wouldn't owe them any more money. So the point in all of that is there's no town meeting vote required. You have the authority to spend the money, and you have a non-appropriation clause. So there's not a vote that's necessary at town meeting. So we could, if we could in the next month decide a course of action, we could get, you know, I think we would have a grader early into the spring. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't look at used ones. I know we're a little gun shy because of, you know, if you look at the dollars that we spent on the old grader, the entire nut on that grader in 9 years was $75,000. That includes the purchase, the motor troubles, and general repairs. So it was less than like $9 grand a year. That's the cheapest grader we'll ever own. The problem was the reliability was near zero, right? It was never reliable for us. It would limp through a season and then we'd have a problem. I think, and what I hear the most from our taxpayers who are interested in things like grader purchases is we're a town. We shouldn't be tinkering on our grader all the time or our trucks all the time. the guys
Well,
should
we're
have.
down to
equipment.
guys in the highway department, we don't have the manpower to be able to both be taking care of the roads and spending a lot of time taking care, I mean, I know you gotta take care of the equipment, I get that.
I mean,
But-
I think for a town, if we're gonna get one that is fully warranted for the 5, 6, 7 years, is,
That's gonna ask.
That's,
Is it the whole duration of the lease purchase?
you know, whatever you least, you can do even
but
past.
there's options, you know, you can buy extended coverages, all of that stuff.
All right, so we have a comment from Mark in the messages, from Mark Hardy. For what it's worth, Steve and all, like the lease to buy option, but does worry about the long-term cost of new equipment in terms mostly of maintenance, also the potential issue of operator training, cost of training and or staff recruitment and retention. I guess my question is, have you considered cradle to grave expenditures on a new versus a beater used grader versus other used options?
I think the answer is we're interested in all that stuff right now.
Yeah.
One of the
Trying to find a good use on this hard.
right, one of the things that I heard last week, Richard, from the CAT guy, is that their grader has, and the John Deere people can't say this, the John Deere would run exactly as your grader does now in terms of controls. Caterpillar grader, which is a little more money, indicates that it has a drive system and grading system that makes grading a lot easier for any operator as opposed to an experienced operator. So
Right,
CAT
yeah.
might be more choices for us, a better choice for us in terms of having other people grading.
Except that it's $100,000 more, is that right, Rich?
It's like, just about.
No,
median.
it's free.
Plus you gotta add,
Two.
you gotta add in, cause that's not, I feel sure for more money with that.
Let me look here. I got it right here.
The 64 some thousand and the other one's 272.
Right, the CAT's willing to spread out the payments over a longer period of time, but it also makes, the interest charges start to creep up.
Yeah.
The CAT is, the John Deere's like 272, the
Right.
CAT is 340.
Oh, 340.
341. They'll do a 10-year lease or a 7-year lease. The John Deere folks do a 5 or a 6. That's all they do. I don't think there would be any doubt. Rich, would you agree the Caterpillar is going to be a better machine?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Well, that's helpful information. Did you have more to add, Brad, or another question, or, okay? And any of our finance committee members have any I mean, we're obviously not making this decision tonight anyway, but I appreciate your being here to answer questions.
Yeah,
Mike?
Amy, I'll chime in just a little bit. We did have a meeting on Monday and went through some of it. And first, I have to start out by saying that none of us know very much about graders, other than maybe a little common sense. We're not mechanics and we don't operate them. So given that, the issues that we discussed that I think are relevant, it seems like it ought to be possible to address the mud season issues with equipment that we have or could get other than a grader. I know that the grader is preferable. I'm not questioning that. I understand the need to having, and we understand the need to having access to a grader, but we don't have the ability to maintain the new ones other than basic oil because of the computers involved. We know that we're going to have to send it, to Reed's or wherever for any repairs, and making sure that somebody else is going to pay for those is not a terrible bad idea. The other question is about, obviously, as Mark was alluding to, we're going to have to learn, somebody is going to have to learn how to operate the new graders with the electronic controls, I'm assuming they have, as opposed to what we've been used to. And having somebody who operates a grader full-time available through the summer to do the bank grading would make it quicker and probably more efficient, as opposed to having some of our staff do it who operate one intermittently. And I just think there's going to be a difference in quality just because of experience in that. All of that said, if the money is roughly the same, we did not have this discussion, but if the lease is purchase is going to end up costing the town roughly the same as renting one or hiring somebody to do it during the summer, then that may make the most sense. So I'm not sure, we'll have to talk about it again, and I'm not sure that, our thoughts are even helpful, but that was the discussion we had.
Well, I think it's really helpful, actually. Yeah, Brad.
Rich, did you say that the controls packages,
They come both ways.
so you choose, like you say, I want a cat, and you can choose
You can
whether
choose
it's,
an antler, or you can choose they call them antlers.
right?
And then you got the pilot control. I choose the antlers. I know the antlers. That's how I've always ran the antler one, so. Not that I probably couldn't do the pilot control. but I
Is,
take
is
advantage
the
of it.
industry moving, like, at some point, even though it's easier for a while, at some point, you do look forward and say, well, from now on, everything we buy, we may be able to go one more cycle and buy the old style, but we're gonna have to up our game because that's where the world is moving. And so we can take that moment and say, yes, there's a cost to that, training and experience, but maybe that's the time to do it. And so
Well,
that was my
usually
question.
buy a
I
grader, you
didn't-
have it for about 25 years.
Well, right, so what do we then? I
Right.
think that makes your point, actually, in terms of getting kind of what's
And
next.
then the one that,
So,
And if you get new people, are they likely to have
Yeah.
old training or the new training?
That's right.
You know?
so I
but
think,
to answer your question.
yeah, you can answer his
Yeah.
question,
Cost
and then
with the
The one-
equipment versus,
go ahead and answer his question.
To answer your question, the one that, the cat
Yeah.
does it automatically all by itself.
Mhm.
That's the one, if you're gonna do that route and you don't need, it doesn't seem like to me you ain't training at all, just it does everything
Yeah.
according to the
Mhm.
geographic of the contour of the road. You can just set it for 2%.
And is
4%.
that the numbers that you and Steve were talking about, or was that
I'm not sure if that includes that, but if it is, I
Right.
think in cat, I think it's a $20,000 option, I
so
think.
that would take you from the 340 to the 360?
Right,
Is that
I'm
what you-
thinking.
That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see it like really spelled out, like what we're comparing, because I'm
Mhm.
not completely clear on what we're comparing.
And you can
Right,
also-
and my understanding, Amy, is that the John Deere that has been proposed comes with one set of controls, the antlers that Rich is talking about.
Okay.
And if you are a grader operator, those will work fine for you. If you are somebody who's not a grader operator, Cat believes they have come up with a set of controls that make it easier for non-grader operators to at least be proficient in grading. Neither of those systems are the automated grading system. In fact, Caterpillar told me that they are not selling that system to municipalities because all the various curb cuts on the road make that a problem. That you can't hold the grade like you would if you were building a brand new road or a runway in an airport, because there's so many infractions into the road, driveways, turnouts, that sort of thing. So
No, you-
they don't advocate that we buy the automatic grading package. It just doesn't work for towns. His
Yeah.
point was that their machine comes with a set of controls that Richard would not be familiar with, but would learn very quickly, and other people in Richard's department would be able to run it and be proficient with it very quickly. It's easier to learn than the antler system. But the John Deere only comes, my concern about the John Deere, it is the low dollar new machine, and it is clearly being manufactured for just that purpose. It's coming from Brazil, doesn't mean made in Brazil is a problem. It's just they are trying to be in the market at a lower price than others. And if we're going to be in the market of a new grader, we should buy the grader that best meets our road grading needs Not just because we save 40 grand or 50 grand off the cost of the product, because as Rich just said, we're going to have this grader for 20-25 years.
Yeah.
And so,
Steve,
you know,
Steve,
Rich-
I have another question that,
And I do
I
as
have
well.
another question. If
How do
it's
you
coming
first?
from Brazil, what is the current tariff on it? And does the price that they gave you reflect that?
Right.
According to the price that you give us, that is the price.
Right. Right.
Steve, do you have any more information on that? I mean, sometimes the price is the price plus the
I
tariff.
think I understood that it was from Brazil. It just means they could sell it to us for 250,000. Instead, they sell it to us for 272. But I think one of the things I think, Rich, would be helpful is if you had a conversation with the cat salesman about this new control system that they're proposing in their grader.
Yeah,
because
and
you
then
may-
he said that he'd bring it over and have, I could try it out, actually,
That's
which would probably be the best bet.
I think the other question that I have, because obviously we're not planning on making this decision this evening, but we did talk about it. I mean, it's a huge amount of money, right? Like,
Oh,
there's no way around it. And this isn't a great year for it. I don't know that there's ever a great year for it, but this really is not maybe it. So we talked about, you know, I see the downside from getting local contractors in terms of their availability. Like, are they available when we need them? Have we ever had any sort of a contract with the local contractor, like that we get priority on whatever days? And I don't even know if that's something you can do, but is that something we've ever looked at, like saying to whoever?
We've had good luck with Kevin and Robbie on emergencies, right?
Yeah.
When we've needed them. Alan Rowell, and there may be other companies, Alan has been the hardest to get to commit for long periods of time because
Yeah.
he is the man. I mean, you know, a perfect world would be if Plainfield and Cornish wanted to split a grader and a grader operator,
Yeah.
right? That would, because the criticism of the grader is buy the cat, it's $340,000 and it's a machine you use 500 hours a year.
Yes.
Buy the excavator, it's half the money, and it's a machine you use 2,000 hours a year. And
Yeah,
so,
we'll do all of it now.
you know,
Well, yeah, I mean, I get that it wouldn't be long to word out, except then at the end, we still have this excavator, and maybe then we're in a different position at a time to buy a new grader, and like you said, boy, I'd love to have those both at some time. I just think, I know that I'm hearing what the ideal is, but I think we need to also look at.
I mean, one
would-
suggestion
Lots of
I-
value, but it's
that was
not
made,
that great.
Well, you can't grade with an excavator.
Well, I thought there was some
Small areas, yes,
Gotcha.
but as soon as
road?
you've got
Yeah.
gentle
Yeah,
care, it's very easy.
Okay.
You
But you gotta be careful on
right,
that.
one
Where the
suggestion
tunnels.
that I've had made is try for 1 year to rent the work out. Use
Yeah.
Yeah.
contractors, use Alan Rowell, use whoever else does grading. Try it for 1 year. You're going to spend the 60. You're going to spend the $50,000 or $60,000, but see how it goes. See if you liked it. See if you didn't like it.
Yeah, the other
And I get
thought
that
about,
in the end, we own nothing though at the end of that 60,000, right? Like, I
Yeah,
totally
we own
understand there's a balance to that decision, and it could go wrong. It could go really wrong. So,
yeah,
but
Amy, one more thought, if
Yeah.
I may. One of the other thoughts that we had was that if we hired out the grading, right
Mhm.
now we have less staff
Mhm.
available for things. And rather than tying up one of our staff members, especially the leader, for a great period of time doing the grading, maybe if we hired somebody out, we wouldn't have to add another staff member to the department. I'm sure that Rich doesn't like that idea, but that was part of our discussion a little bit.
Well,
You're gonna have one or two anyways, you start bringing gravel to them, you're gonna have two other people out of staff anyway, because that's what happened last time.
I mean, I think the problem there is we'd love to hire another person. There's no person has presented themselves for that role,
Yeah.
that role. Yeah,
You need-
whether Rich wants them or not.
Everybody
Yeah.
else in the upper valley.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot to consider here. Does anyone else have comments or questions while we have Rich with us tonight about the grader? And then we'll continue with the the rest of the finance discussion, but Rich has a long day and a long day tomorrow and probably after that.
Thursday,
So,
Friday
yeah,
morning
so
by
while we
Saturday.
have Rich with us, who knows more about graders certainly than,
If you
Then I
hire
do.
somebody out,
yeah,
you're basically at the whim of when they're available.
that's correct.
Right,
And
and
that's the
that's the
question,
problem.
right? That's the problem. There's no
Cause if they
perfect
say, oh, I
solution.
can't do it,
Then we're
we're still back over.
stuck.
And I
Where
think
are we
the
at
only
now?
way you dare do anything like that is if you make it a warrant article and let the community say, yes, we're willing to, on our road, wait till a contract is available.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
I know, I
Yeah.
know. I think that's.
And with respect to that,
And say that's how we're gonna operate without some
I'll just go buy
mandate.
it.
Yeah, Mike?
I'll rent it to the town.
yeah,
Oh,
with respect to.
hold on, Mike's turn to talk.
With respect to whether or not it should go before the town is always taking the position, regardless of whether it's absolutely required, that they would bring major purchases like that to town meeting, and
Yes,
I would think twice if I were you about not doing that.
about not, I'm sorry, can you say that again? About not bringing it to the meeting?
Yeah, about not
Oh.
bringing it to town meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it would go to town meeting, but I think that we have to understand it fully as a board to be able to, and as a finance committee, make any sort of recommendation. Now, the only issue I see here, though, is if we wait till town meeting, which I think we possibly should do, then we're in March before we're even saying yes to a new grader.
Yeah, we're
And what do we
Well,
do?
So what
We're
I'll
not
do,
getting
if
a grader.
you plan on getting a cat one, I'll see what the availability is for a cat,
Yeah,
and then I'll see
What-
the.
While Mike is correct in what he has said historically, just for frame of reference, we've now bought 3 trucks
Yeah.
that never went to town meeting. We've used the reserve fund, right? We just bought a 261,000 Mac
Yeah.
that no one ever voted on at town meeting.
and so there is
I
this
agree.
reserve fund, right? So the money is there in theory,
Right.
like
Right.
in
We
actuality.
have done just exactly what Mike said, but in the last 3 to 4 to 5 years, we have not done that anymore. We have been buying these things without the involvement of town meeting, and which is perfectly legal. May not be
Sure.
good policy, but perfectly legal.
So can
But
you
those
ask you
have
a
also
question?
been-
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, though, Steve, am I incorrect, or am I right that those purchases have also largely been supported by government funds and things other than tax dollars?
Right that.
Well, the latest Mac cost 261, and we're getting 64,000 back. So 200,000 of it came out of the reserve fund, out of tax money. I mean,
Okay.
the selectmen have full authority to spend that money on any highway equipment fund, equipment that they want to buy. I mean, it's
So
just.
I'm not questioning that. That's not the issue.
No, yeah. So Steve, I have a question. Can we go back to where you talked about, when we talked about leasing, I'm not sure I understood this correctly, but the board could say, yes, let's enter into, this lease. But then if at town meeting, the town were to vote, absolutely not, we don't want this, we'd only be in it for the 1 year, is that, I misunderstood.
No, I mean, I talked to the, I mean, the interesting thing is we know from some of the school actions, the threshold for a year, for, an hour, having the polls open for an hour in the full discussion is $100,000. So we hit that threshold now regularly. But in talking to the DRA, as long as you enter into a lease that has a non-appropriation clause, and all of these equipment operators know, or equipment salesmen know, that municipalities need that. As long as there's a non-appropriation clause, the selectmen can enter the lease. You put the payment in the budget, you put the payment in the reserve fund, you do whatever you want to do. If at a town meeting, somebody stood up and said, boy, I hate that new cat grader, I want to cut $65,000 out of the budget. Again, that would be the direction to the town. And if the town the selectmen agreed with that, then there's no penalty. John Deere or Cat comes and gets their machine. So if
process-wise, we can start it now, but still put it in front of the voters at town meeting.
Yeah, I'm not sure we would, Amy. I think
Okay.
we would buy, we would put in place the piece of equipment we think best meets the needs of the town. I mean, we can have an article to raise and appropriate $272,000 and fund it with the capital reserve fund. And if that makes people happier, we can do that, but we don't need to do that, I guess is what I'm saying.
But somebody could still, even if we were to decide not to put it in front of voters, somebody could still stand up at town meeting and say they'd like to take that out of that amount out of the budget, correct?
And it's almost, I mean, because essentially it's a long-term commitment, right? That's where things are different, where selectmen have broad authority on anything that's a one-year deal.
And I'm not advocating any way. I just want to make sure we're having the discussion and understanding all angles of it today.
Absolutely. I think the companies all know it's very unlikely that people take away a grader or a backhoe or a truck, right? And so if they get the towns to sign these lease purchases, they're pretty much going to get paid and the town's going to have the piece of equipment. So there's not a lot of risk to anyone. But we can figure out the path of purchasing it. But the issue is, what are we buying? And as I say, one model is to say, let's talk to Kevin, to your point earlier, Amy. Let's talk to Kevin, let's talk to Robbie, let's get a commitment for them to do emergency grading during the year as Rich deems necessary. And, you know, we pay them something for that to be available, but they come at a moment's notice. And then we hire the grading out to Alan Rowell for both spring and fall. The sum total of those amounts of money will be
the same
or larger than the payment on the grader.
Yeah.
But we don't have a grader we have to take care of anymore. Nobody else.
Hold on, Elise is gonna speak.
So it's my understanding from comments that were made earlier that the reserve fund is where the money comes for these pieces of equipment. That's where this would come from, yes?
Yes, it's one of two options, but yes.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. I don't want to get too far afield of that. The comment that I was referring to was, I think that I heard you say that an increase in that amount that we designate for the highway equipment reserve fund has been increased in the budget line that you've shown us, like here.
Right. If you look, it's up $50,000, and that's just a nice place to hold the grader payment.
As opposed to, what was it before? It was just 50,000 before. And
No,
now
100
this
or
budget
75, whatever it says in the column there.
okay, so the budget that is slated, you know, this is a draft, I think is like a 24 cent per mil increase.
Right.
Includes what we would need to be able to do this rent lease agreement thing for the grader.
Right. And you could put it in either place. You could put it in the reserve funds. You could put it in the highway budget. It does not matter. Either one is fine. But you are right. In that tax rate projection, at least 90 to 95% of the grader cost is baked into that. That is true.
Okay, that's the point I wanted to make.
A quick question.
Yeah, this is what, I agree with Mike Sutherland, that voters should be approached and let them decide. And what Steve is doing is the same thing that.
Oh, so we're not gonna talk
last time.
Okay, but did you have a question about this process? I heard your comment, or just a comment.
What Mike Sutherland said, that's how it
Okay,
should be
that's what you
followed.
go. Okay,
And what Steve is saying, this is how it got everybody in an uproar, and that's why SB 2 is gonna be presented, all because the community was left out.
okay, thank you. And we're here
Expense.
tonight at a public meeting that
Yeah.
anybody in the community could be attending to, though, right? I do want that understood, that this is a community meeting where we're hearing from the public. So that's all. Did
But
you
the
have a
whole
quick
thing is
comment?
like, you see what Steve was saying, well, anybody can stand up. Nobody knows that can be done.
Well,
Nobody said
well,
that
that's
the
on,
last
that
time.
is on us citizens to learn our rights and responsibilities. And I think our
Well, that's why-
okay, I'm not gonna get into the process with you right now, but,
Okay.
that's how governance does work. And I've heard many people at town meeting get up and make suggestions from the floor. And our moderators are usually really good, always really good about making sure that people know that. But thank you for your comment. Is there any other questions on the greater piece? So poor Rich he's ready to go home. Questions about the grader before we move on? Comments? We're good? Okay. Thank you, Rich, and thank you for staying
Rich.
later. I appreciate it. Yeah. And I hope you don't take our questions on these things as not supportive of you. We want to just fully
That's good,
understand
because we're
it.
not done questioning you.
That's
about
right.
that
You're
yet,
gonna be
so
back for more.
brace yourself.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Yeah, I.
All right.
Well, thanks for all your efforts.
All right, Steve, I'm gonna let you move on with the other budget matters. I know that was a big one and we wanted to start that conversation, but.
Yes, and so what I would like to do, Amy, is this isn't a public hearing on the budget or anything like that. It's a workshop session.
Well, that's right. I misspoke when I said that, but it is.
It's a workshop session with
You're
the
right.
finance committee, and I can do my usual blither on about the budget, and I'm happy to do that at the budget hearing. I think in the packet, in the what's posted up on the website, you have our customary Excel spreadsheet that shows the entire financial picture: expenses, reserve funds, less revenues, net appropriation. Then you have a summary sheet, which is called the MS 636 appropriations, which just basically talks at the department level and doesn't have the object codes. Again, the numbers will look very similar. And then behind that, there's 9 or 10 pages, which is detail sheets, which are the object codes that make up all of the numbers. And so, when you look at the Excel spreadsheet, you see that the police budget is proposed at $433,290. You look at the detail sheet and you can see every line that every object code that makes up that amount of money. And so what I would prefer to do, if we could, is to I know Mike talked about this with his finance committee the other night. If they have specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I think we're down about 4 or 5 cents on the tax rate projection since the first one. We'll know more as we close out the year. It's always a struggle this time of the year because we still have 3 or 4, 3 weeks still to go in the budget. We know a lot more about our expenses once the budget is closed. And again, the issue with this budget is that you are making assumptions in budgeting for town employees that don't yet exist. So
Right.
you want to give the police the flexibility to hire that third officer if they can find it, and you want to give Rich the flexibility to hire another person for highway if it should come about. So you have to budget for fictitious people. You don't know what their health insurance needs are. You don't know what their level of skill is going to be. We can reduce the budget by more than $150,000, but it would involve saying 2 people in the police department is all we're going to have, and 5 people in the highway department is all we're going to have. And that is not the direction I've received from the Board of Selectmen.
That's right.
What I think we've built into this budget is 3 people in the police department, and we've assumed we would not hire until April 1st or beyond, and 1 additional person in the highway department, and that person could come whenever they could come. I think much more likely that we could hire a highway worker these days than we could a police officer. Police officers are just extremely difficult hires right now, as we all know. But I'm happy to answer questions, Mike. If your group has got them, I'll have a little more of my tea. If you ask me questions, I'll try to give you the answer, best I know.
Great. And,
All right.
yeah, and I'm gonna say first, we're gonna have the finance committee ask their questions first, and then if you still have, your question has not been answered, I'll certainly, call on you. And I do wanna say, if I called it a budget hearing, I misspoke, but I meant that we're discussing this in an open forum where everyone is welcome. And in fact, I will tell you, I was thrilled when I came in tonight, all the people here, it's always, sometimes it's like, where is everybody? And, so I'm glad to have the interest. Mike?
Okay, we did go through the budget, and I'm going to go through the detail portion just kind of in order because it's easier for people to follow.
It ain't, want to share the screen or put it up on the screen, you don't have to share.
Oh, boy, I'm gonna try my best.
Hit share. Go back
Do
and the
you know what
desktop.
page I'm going to?
It's, you're down past the PD ordinance, and then you'll get right into the budget.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the wrong direction.
I mean,
though.
yeah, I know it's in the wrong direction, so, if you wanna
But
start
if you
talking,
hit
and I'll
share,
get there.
you can see it as an option, it'll be right there in one of the windows.
Okay, most of
The flipping it?
Yeah.
Anyone?
I think it's. to
You
the
better
right,
have a rotate thing.
left, right under Windows, isn't that the flip one?
Ah. There we go. I have flipped it. Is it being shared with you all, or do I need to do something else?
It's not shared yet.
Okay. I think I can do that as well. We'll find out. Let's share. Okay, hold on. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Yes? Are you seeing it?
No.
No.
The share.
Steve, can you, well, I pressed one
share.
share.
There you go.
There you
Look
go.
at
All right. There you go. So go down to page 4, Amy.
Okay. Oh, boy, now I've got to get to where I can get to the pages. Sorry about this, kids.
Yeah, these
All
are
right,
the.
yeah, right there. All right, flip it,
Right
flip
here?
it, and then we'll
I'll
start.
flip
Yeah.
it. Yep. I'm gonna be really good at this by the time we're all done here.
Yeah.
Yes? Is this where
All
we
right.
want to be?
Yeah, no, down
Okay.
one.
Down
one.
one.
I
Okay,
think
I'm
that's
gonna-
right. You should be looking, I can't see on my screen, but top of the page is general government executive, and then it
Yes.
goes down. Okay.
Yes.
All right, we have questions that do not imply that we are opposed to anything. It's just questions about what the money is for. And
Okay.
Steve, I would encourage you to give short answers if you can. And if anybody on the finance committee, normally we would have people there, and we have several people who are sick, and a couple of us who are trying really hard not to be for pending travel. And so we're doing this by Zoom, and next time we will be there in person. Under the town clerk, the bottom is office supplies, and that has been increased significantly, and we just wondered if there was a specific purpose for that one.
This is under 4140s.
Yeah, 4140, the last item, it's up $1,000, up $500 from last year. Not much money.
More elections next year than this year.
Yeah.
This was the least number of, and so we have, not only do we have more office supplies we have to buy, we now have to have the ballot formatted for the voting machine. And each time you do that, it's a $600 charge.
Okay, thank you. I think that answers the questions.
It's an election year, so that the office supplies go up because we have to buy ballots and things like that.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
I was, is it gonna deal with the meal? How come we paid this year 845 and the budget is now 200? Why? What was that high? It's 4 times the amount.
I don't know where you are.
Right.
Yeah,
It's an expense of $845. I can look at that detail and get you the answer, but it's, it was some one-time expense that we don't think gets repeated the next year. But I can tell you, I just haven't got it up on my computer right here. Let's keep moving, and before we get done, I can look it up.
That'd be great.
All right.
Okay.
Under financial administration, computer support, the 45,000 is an increase from last year's projection and a significant increase from what we spent, and we're wondering what that is for.
Right, it's the, you know, we've converted to a different fund accounting system, and starting January 1st, we convert to a different payroll system. And so there are some one-time fees for that, the conversion of data, the cost of the software. The next year, you should see that number come down.
Okay, Steve, just, what else is in that line item, just quickly? In other words, what other things are categorized as computer support?
The website, the website management, the mapping company management, Avatar with all the programs we use from Avatar. So you've got tax collecting, town clerking, and assessing. So it is the support cost for all of those programs that run the town office.
Okay. If you go to the next page, under personnel administration, there is an outside consultant projection of 10,000, and we wondered what that was for.
Right. That I was instructed by the Board of Selectmen to put that in. The town administrator your current town administrator will not be here sometime over the next year. I'm planning to retire. And the selectmen, I think, are considering hiring a company called MRI to do a study of the town office to determine what the staffing needs in our office should be. You got a bite at the apple where you've had two of us here for many years. We're both leaving, and it's a chance to make, just because we've always had this number of people doesn't mean we shouldn't have some other number of people. As we have heard, you know, Enfield, for instance, you know, if you talk to Rob Taylor over at Enfield, twice the population, 5 times the staff. And so I think there's no model where you run the town office with less people. You're probably going to have more people, but the answer is MRI does a study and tells you what you need. And I don't, you know, it's in there because it's part of the exit plan for me.
Okay, and I would add to that, thank you. We're glad to see that the finance committee last year sort of encouraged strongly that the select board do something like that, because now is the opportunity with the changes. Less if we're going to make changes in the structure of the town office, then we really need to think about that ahead of time. So
right.
I think you'll find
one of the things you know you have when you have only 2 people in an office or 2 positions in an office is that you can't have all of the separation of powers that you would like to have in that scenario. And so while more staff members may bother people, it would be more in keeping with what the state of New Hampshire would like to see us have. You know, Michelle, as we all know, who does a great job, she assists George Hildum with his work on assessing, but she's the tax collector. She can't do that. And so it's those kind of conflicts that we would be trying to eliminate. I think if you go to the Grantham Town website, you can see where they just did one of these studies for Grantham. I sent it around to the selectmen a month or 2 ago. One of the issues is, could we use theirs? The Plainfield Town office and the Grantham Town office aren't that different. But if you're trying to build a system specifically for Plainfield, you probably want the details. And the estimate for MRI is that that's a $10,000 to $12,000 study.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. And
do those jobs.
And the other part of this, which I'm sure everybody's well aware of, is that the 2 people who are potentially leaving have an incredible amount of historical knowledge that the new people are not going to have, and is not going to be nearly able to do all of the things that 2 people have done for so long. We need to just plan on that. Okay, I'm going to jump down to the police budget.
Yep.
Okay. We've got an increase in town retirement, and that's projected because of the theoretically that we're going to hire a 3rd person.
Yes.
Okay. And I think the question the question, and I think we've discussed this, at least I believe we have. If we are sure that we are not going to be able to do that in the near future, then could some of those figures be reduced to half a year or whatever would logically take place in a hiring situation if we could find somebody in a way to, again, adjust the budget where, if it's possible.
Right. As I say, and that's one of the real challenges the last 2 or 3 years, is we know what level of service we like to provide, and we've not been able to do it. If we don't budget for it and opportunity knocks, we're not able to take advantage of it. If we do budget it and the person doesn't materialize, the voters, and I think our track record proves this out, the voters have to have faith in us that we're not going to use the money for something else. And, our track record suggests we don't do that, and our performance suggests we don't do that. And so this budget is to give Chief Gutzfeld and Road Agent Collins the flexibility they need to hire people if they can find them. If it's not in there, we can't hire them. We would not have enough money. But I agree with you, Mike. As I said earlier, if we made the commitment that we know what our staffing level for next year is, it's what we have right now, then expenses in both areas of the budget could fall away.
Yeah, and I would recall from my school board experience about budgeting, and I'm going to raise this question particularly with the fire department in a minute. For many years, the school budgeted for all students going to Lebanon, even though they knew that X number were likely to go to KUA. And we changed that, and we budgeted more tightly. And we set up reserve funds to cover for tuition in case we guessed wrong. But in some cases, on the one hand, I am speaking for myself, but I think the Finance Committee would agree, we very much appreciate intelligent budgeting. On the other hand, sometimes it's better to take a chance and budget less and then use the reserve fund if you have to, so that you're not taking taxpayer money that's just going to sit there. So just food for thought. The question I have in the fire department, or that we have rather, that was raised by the committee, there are many budget areas where the allocated amount has not been expended, even not close to the allocation. And we've only got a little bit of time left in the year. So unless we're going to get invoices for all of those things, it begs the question, are we in fact budgeting too high in some of those areas if they're in fact not going to be used?
Yep, so I can talk to that, Mike. So the way the fire department works, like we just had our air packs tested the first week of December for $1,800. So and looking at all those, and the credit card bill hasn't come yet for November that shut off on December 8th. So in my thinking, if either station right now got a fuel delivery, I would actually be over budget. So the invoices are either in and being processed or they are due. And so I left the $1,000 in the either station for a fuel delivery because I can't predict when that is. So we are expending close to that 68,000. It's just a lot of stuff gets shuffled to the end of the calendar year. The $4,000 stipend that I wanted to increase, and we always get our air packs tested for around 1,800 at the end of November, December. So that's one of the reasons why the fire budget gets lopsided into December.
Okay, all right. I think I have heard that discussion before.
Yeah, and the other thing was that I had hoped to shuffle around what some of the line items were, but keeping the budget the same, which I didn't actually get around to. So the only thing I did was now that the town owns a water company, we don't pay for that. That's why I zeroed that one line amount.
Okay.
So in January, we should be seeing a much more, like for the year to date.
So the credit card statement usually comes this week, actually, in the teens of the month because it gets shut off on December 8th, and I ordered a few $1,000s worth of stuff on that.
So the next time we see it, it'll look a little more balanced.
Yes, I keep checking my email for the credit card statement from Steve, because he keeps telling me I have a lot of money left, and my budget sheet that I have says that no, I don't.
Okay,
If everything happened, like I say, if we got $1,000 fuel delivery, I would be over budget.
gotcha.
We had, okay, let's, and if anybody on the finance committee thinks I'm going too fast and skipping over your thoughts, you know, you've never been shy before, don't be shy today. Jump right in.
All good, Mike. I can't talk
They're not.
anyway.
Oh, I tell you, whatever's going around, bless your hearts. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. Building inspection, real quick. The question was asked, and I think I could have answered it, but I blanked on it. Is the cost of the building inspection, there is obviously a fee to get the permit, but the actual inspections, is any of that paid by the homeowner or the builder as opposed to the town, or does the town, what does the town pay for building inspectors?
Right, so if you look on the revenue side under income from departments, one of the revenues there is building permit revenues. And while we could probably increase our permits again, our fees, the goal there is to extract at least a significant portion of the cost for the inspections and the assessing work. Don't forget, every building permit means George Hilden has to come visit, and and so the answer is we try to recoup 2/3 or so of that money, but we could up the building permits and get more of that money back. I think we pay the building inspector about $35 an hour, David Lurch, and we have a pretty neat system that Brad and David came up with, which will help the town in the future in terms of record keeping. But yes, we try to get income. I can give you the amount that we've taken in from building permits this year, and we can compare the two.
Okay, but any income,
Sorry. Why are we
any
not
income they have,
expecting-
sorry, Elise, go ahead.
I'm wondering why we're not expecting the applicants for the permits to cover the expense of the permitting process.
I think we're trying to get the lion's share out of it. And every time you increase your fees, you definitely get some pushback from the people that are using the service. But we absolutely could increase building permit fees and squeeze a little more revenue out of there. We definitely could.
Yeah, but
I think that's
basically,
Well,
yeah,
I think if
building
we expect the water department to cover their own expenses, we need to. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mike, go ahead.
That's all right. So the building permits are the only income we get from that. So the whatever mileage and hourly costs we pay for, and then hope we get enough back.
I'm looking it up now, Mike.
Well, it's okay. I just was trying to ask a question about the process.
Right.
Yeah. So the other question we had, and it may be good I'm not there next to Brad, but is that would it be sensible for the facilities manager to be the building inspector instead of having another building inspector?
Well, he is in the winter, and one of the things that Plainfield, and those of you who have lived in other places, will understand is there's sort of two ways most people look at building permits. Cornish says not going to do anything about it at all. There is no permit, there is no inspection, you're on your own. Hanover, Lebanon, Hartford says you're going to get a permit and we're going to enforce the code very stringently. And you, the homeowner, will be protected by that, and you'll pay for that, right? Your house permit doesn't cost $600. It costs $3,000. Plainfield does a hybrid version of that, which in some ways is more dangerous, right? We don't have the expertise in-house to do full building inspections, but we have a guy who's pretty good, Dave Larsh, and he helps the homeowner quite a bit. But in some cases, we're probably giving the homeowners assurances that we don't necessarily have a right to give them because we haven't had that training. So like Chris Foreman said many years ago, anytime you move something from the town to the school, it costs more money. If we started doing building inspection in the way that Brad would want to do it, because it's the way it's supposed to be done, it will cost a whole lot more money. And so Brad fills in now in the winter, and we've already had discussions about things he's uncomfortable with. So the answer is, what do you want to do about building department? You know, do you want to get out of the business, or do you want to do it for real? But doing it for real costs a lot more money.
Well, I think, and the other part of that too is, so, I mean, right, is for actually $11,000. And if we can raise the building permit fees to cover that that's great. But what occurs to me is when we say, could Brad do it? I think the answer is yes, of course he can. He's doing it right now. But the question is, when during the summer, if Brad's doing that, what isn't getting done that's on his list now, which is a pretty extensive list. So I think it's a fair question, obviously, but I mean, that's my thought. What is it that Brad doesn't do if he's in all these buildings?
Right, and it's an issue the town is going to face in the very near term. David Lurch is building inspector, probably going on 15 or 20 years now. He's been here a long time.
You sure have. Oh, at least, yeah.
2 or 3, 4 years.
Hold on.
He's just, you know, he's going to retire from it. So the town will have another opportunity to make a decision about how it wants to move forward with that piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Maria, did you have a question?
Yeah, so we're paying Brad as facilities manager, which comes out of, and then the water system, that money comes out of that. So and now he's also building inspector, is that what you're saying?
David Lurch goes, for a few months, when David Lurch goes away.
Or 4 salaries?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, no, let me answer.
Facility.
I need you to listen so I can explain it. So Brad does not get David Lurch's salary while David's away. That is just a duty that's added onto him. David Lurch goes away for the winter, where our building inspections go down. I mean, they don't drop, people are still building, but not.
David does a wonderful job.
He does a wonderful job. But so it's not, no, Brad does not get his salary. Brad's getting one salary. One salary.
And Amy, to answer the question that you asked earlier, we spend about $15,000 a year on building permit, on building inspection. And right now we're collecting about $10,000 a year in income.
Okay. So that's helpful and something certainly we can look at whether we want that to be raised.
So
and the question on earlier from the $845, it was a one-time purchase of a state-required voting machine for people with disabilities or visually challenged. And so we were required to buy the machine, and we've done that, so we don't have to do it again.
Okay, and I'm going to answer one more question for me, and then we're going to go back to letting our finance committee chair ask questions. But about mileage, that's mileage that goes to David Lurch.
So when you submit the mileage, do you write the name of does the mileage start here to go to the house?
That's right.
And that you write
or wherever
form that you fill out so that it's confirmed. That is how many miles.
Right. David gives us.
Say, oh, I did 40 miles today.
No.
Okay, I don't understand how they do it. That I'm not, I just.
Steve, do you want to speak to it real fast? I don't want to get too in the weeds on how the.
First, at the end of the month, he gives us a report on the inspections that he has done and the hours he spent, and then he gives on the same report, gives starting and ending mileage for each of the inspections he did, and then we pay the total of that.
And there's a federal amount that decides that,
Yeah,
so he gets paid that. And so it's verifiable.
There's so many questions on here.
Yeah.
Is there any way to get the breakdown of all the stuff that actual payment, like one sheet to confirm, like here, I still don't understand, like on the mileage for the fire, you have $4,000 that was actually spent. Now, the preliminary is going to 8,000 now for mileage.
Yes,
So that means your people haven't sent in their mileage yet?
no. So the way that is, we're kind of skirting the system. So instead of calling them employees by paying for the hour, there's that set amount. And if you make a call, you get tick mark. And that divides out at the end of the year. If you got 40 tick marks in 2024, you got $7.24 a tick mark. And so that you're getting paid
Or when you go out?
for a call.
But they're not getting paid anything for
So
their
otherwise-
calls.
They're volunteer, yeah.
So, and Bill started this, we want to increase that to make it more, because you get the same whether it's a half an hour call or you're out in the cold down the corner for 5 hours.
Mhm.
And so we want to switch that to be an hourly call force, and actually pay by the hour. But with the new, software that the town's getting, they don't want to increase the 11 town employees and add another 28 on in his first year. And so for next year, it's just a way to get the guy more money.
But if it's salary,
So
do they take out the FICA and everything
correct.
else?
So this is in trying to correct that. So
Yeah.
right now it's being labeled as a mileage stipend. And we capped it at a set amount so that and the budget, so that it wouldn't all of a sudden come up to be way over budget. And so we're trying to fix that over the next 2 years. So this year I just wanted to get them more than $7.25 for getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then next year, you'll probably see that we're gonna go to an hourly system, and I've been polling neighboring towns that are volunteer getting $17 to $23 an hour.
So the amount will remain, but right now there's nowhere in those lines for that, is that?
Right, so right now, under my, right there, it says mileage 4,000, so I'm upping that to 8,000.
Yeah, yeah.
For this year, that was the only change of the budget, and I took 400 away from the
And
water.
the dues, it's 5,000 you paid for this year.
Correct,
So
so,
why was the $2,000 increase?
the dues should be the same.
No, it's 3,000.
It's 3,000, we paid 5, and then it's, 4,984. So it was discovered that we never paid our 2024 dues to the West Central Hazmat, that where if we have a big
Oh,
hazmat.
see, this is all,
Yeah,
if they break
and-
it down, then I
and so-
can see what.
So all of a sudden, I asked about this year because we hadn't seen it, and they went, look, and we never paid the 2024, so we had to pay twice the dues
Yeah.
at 2,000 apiece.
Yeah, these are just some of the questions, like, when you see that, I'm going like, what, you.
Yeah,
do
so
it, but-
normally,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be paying 5, it's back to the 3,000 for
Yeah,
what we
that's
have
what I'm
billed.
thinking.
Well, that's an awful lot of paperwork, if we went through that with everyone, and we do go through it, but that's why we give them chances to answer the questions. But to provide. And what people spend, we do get reports on that, and you
The section
certainly
like
can go
the
and see
building
them,
maintenance,
but.
it's $500 that you paid this year, now you're increasing it to $2,500. Is there a particular maintenance? It says building maintenance.
Well,
Under
fire.
Under fire, we have 2 different
Up
stations.
here,
So the number we're asking for is the same as what we asked for last year on every line item, except for not taking out for water and adding the mileage. So the numbers in between there, yes, we overspent on some, we underspent on the others, and some of that is a year-to-year basis, so it's a guideline. And then I hope to next year, after being in the position longer, to actually shuffle those numbers, hoping not to increase the bottom line, but to get the funds more to what they're actually expended for.
But you only spent
So-
500,
okay,
and you've always budgeted for 2,500?
Warrior, so with station maintenance, you can't predict, is the furnace gonna blow up, are you gonna have a water leak? How many times do we have to send Brad up on the roof to fix the roof leak? I mean, we can't.
no. So we're gonna, in the interest, if you have very specific questions, which I appreciate, but you can sort of make a list of those, and we'll try to get you some answers, but for tonight, I'm gonna give it back right now to our finance chair, just in the interest of time. But we can get you the answer, there are answers, this isn't, yeah.
Well, and I would point out that every year, both school and town finances are audited, including all of the detail. So to some extent, we in the finance committee assume that process basically does the work for us, in a sense of making sure that what's being spent is being correctly recorded and so forth. going to highways and streets. We have full-time help, so we're assuming that we're going to have one more person in the highway department, which is why that number goes up. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then I have two things. One is the grading program. That at this point I'm kind of ignoring that. I mean, I don't. If in fact there's a new grader in the works, none of that makes any sense to me. So, and I understand a placeholder, but is there actually some basis for the figures that are there?
Right. Well, we have, even though we owned a grader the last 2 or 3 years, we had budgeted $20,000 a year for Alan Rowell, who would come and grade for us. He has been unable to meet even that commitment and get here for that amount. And so once we know exactly what we're doing with the grader, we might have to increase that number to put more amount into that if we can identify somebody who would do the work, or we can eliminate the line because we won't, obviously if we had a brand new grader, we probably wouldn't use Alan Rowell at all.
Yeah, I understand. So I'm assuming that between now and January that may get adjusted.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's right. I mean, as you guys all know, and I think are sensitive to, the whole thing, every object code, every line item, it's a guess from one year to the other. As Chief Eldridge just said, you don't really know what's going to happen to the buildings. You don't really know what's going to happen to the trucks. And so you're trying to ensure that you have enough money to meet the needs of those things globally. And individual lines may run under, may run over. It just happens. But at the end of the day, we stay under the bottom line. It gets particularly difficult to do that exercise the more unknowns you have. And when those unknowns involve employees, it's even more difficult. And so, what we've got is, and we'll fine tune the budget numbers once we know a little more about how we finish the year. Essentially, we've still got the month of December's bills to put in for all town departments. And so, as of today, I think we had 200, I didn't stand up and look, we had $253,731 left of the appropriation from last year's town meeting. If we are massively under that number, we will take a very close look at where those variances are and make adjustments. But right now it is a process, and a process that we're at best just beginning.
All right, thanks, Steve. Moving to the next page, again, still in the highway. I have just one question. The second item, is that road stripping or road striping?
Striping, that'd be a good spell.
Okay, just checking.
And one of the interesting things, and I just want to throw this out, I can't see who's left. Did Rich go home?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
We use a company called Sir Lines a Lot, believe it or not, Sir Lines a Lot, to do the road striping. They have done that work now for 3 years, and despite repeated attempts, have never billed us. But I think it would be irresponsible to assume in the future they're not going to eventually bill us for the year they're doing. And so, we could hire them and just not have a line item there. But Rich has called them. We have talked to them. They have not billed the town of Plainfield for road markings for 3 years, and they're not going to bill us back now. I mean, that's water over the dam. But when we know how much it costs to have the line striping done, and we have to carry that number in the budget because we assume at some point good business practice is going to take over and this fellow's going to bill us.
Yeah, I'm sure that that will happen at some point. I have one other question. I probably should have raised this issue when Rich was here, and I didn't. But one of the conversations that we had, Steve, and that you had with Enfield has intrigued me. particularly with regard to the muddy places in their roads and so forth, they have begun to use hard pack on those places, and over a period of time, not in a one-time, one-year thing, a lot of those muddy places are not muddy anymore, or they are much less muddy, which requires less grading and so on. And that just makes so much sense to me. I hope that we are exploring it, and I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yep, the answer is we are.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go all the way down to welfare administration.
Yep.
And the
Whole
comment,
problem we talk about every year. Stephanie way overexpends the budget, but gets in way more revenue than we project. And we try to equalize and make those things the same, and we never get it right.
okay, and that's not what I want to talk about.
Okay.
The comment we had, I marked it to start out with, that the welfare officer's salary in no way nearly compensates for the value of the welfare officer's work.
That's true.
And
That's true.
that should be an embarrassment to us, and I'll leave it at that.
Right. And we have raised that amount of money over several years, Mike. And,
Yeah.
and I agree with you. We're not paying Stephanie Shell anywhere near enough. If we pay her more, it costs more. That's just, I mean, you can't have it both ways.
And if Stephanie moves on, you're going to pay a whole lot more.
Right, and
That's-
that's more than the embarrassment aspect of it is that it's the sustainability of the business operation and the cost of replacement.
Right. And Plainfield has an incredibly robust human services department for a town our size. And you're right. I mean, if she was making department head money, it would be the right amount, and we can make that happen, but you will see it in the bottom line of the budget.
Yeah, I understand. Well,
But I think we're right. If Stephanie were to move on, then we are gonna have a huge sticker shock because we're not budgeting for what that really.
I think,
and
in some ways, Stephanie is an anomaly for a town our size.
Sure.
I'm not sure other towns our size would have the robust program that Stephanie has put together. And so we might have a reduction in service and still spend more
That's
money.
true.
yeah, and she's always been willing, but anyway, you all know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and I think we
I think
upped it 4 or 5
I feel like,
last couple of years because of what you said in the past.
yeah, well, I feel like we're taking advantage of it, and we shouldn't take advantage of the good guys and then pay the bad guys because they bitch about it.
I don't disagree, and we can have a discussion with the select board as to what we want to do with that later in the budget season. I think that's a valid point.
All right, and if there anybody on the finance committee, did I miss anything? Are there any other things that we need to talk about? If there are, please speak up. But otherwise, I think those were the items that we sort of hashed over in our meeting.
And, just so that you have heard it, the budget is built on a COLA for town employees of 2.5%. And it also includes a fairly hefty increase in health insurance premiums from school care. As we have said, right now with the benefit package that we have, that we provide to employees of the town, we can't fill positions in our highway department and we can't fill positions in our police department.
Right.
So I don't think we feel there's any room to make adjustments in employee benefits. We're hardly competitive now, and we are trying at the global level to understand that, to be sensitive to the tax impact of these decisions, but also to understand to your point about Stephanie, if we're not paying a highway person, when I say pay, I mean higher compensation package. If we're not paying a highway person enough money to get them to come to Plainfield, that doesn't serve us long term. Same with police, a police officer, without a doubt, costs the town of Plainfield between $150,000 and $200,000 a year. That's just each officer. That's just the way it is. We pay 1/3 of their salary to the New Hampshire retirement system. So if we pay them $100,000, we pay $33,000 in retirement benefits into the system. And if they're, and you've got to assume if you're going to get a young police officer, it's going to be somebody that at least has a spouse, if not a family. And so you're buying one of those plans. And so when we put this budget together, we kept the benefit package the same. And as we've said before, we model what they do for the support staff at the school, not the teaching staff, the support staff. And so that has continued. So that's in this budget as well. We have an aging population in our employees. But what that means is we don't buy very complex health insurance plans. The school is really suffering because young teachers have families. In our organization, we're purchasing one family plan right now. We're mostly purchasing singles and doubles. But you can't make the argument to cut employee benefits at the same time when we can't hire right now for the employees. I mean, we can't buy a highway guy and we can't buy a police officer right now.
Right, it's false economy. And that point is well taken, and there's a strategic component to that, right? We talked about Stephanie, and we've talked about other positions, including yours, Steve, frankly. The replacement cost is different, is high.
Right. You are not going to spend less money on the town administrator when I'm gone. The Grantham town administrator has been there 4 years, 4 months, and her starting salary is $114,000 a year. And so, there's a bunch of us that it works for us because of our position in life. But young people, my house cost $115,000. People's houses cost $500,000 now, and so, or more. And so, we get all that, but there's nothing in this in the future that says costs are going down. Costs are going up.
Yeah. I assume that the chief is gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured he had. That's okay. That's okay. I was going to ask him. We have. I'm involved with the Grafton Fish and Game Club, and Lebanon Police does training there. And they recently had a night training thing on our ranges and stuff. And I just wondered if the Plainfield Police ever share in that training, which might be a good way to get them training for not much money.
Right. We bought memberships at the club for officers for a number of years, but have since returned to using the gravel pit, where they have a storage container down there that stores their equipment. Former town officer Anthony Cassell comes down from Hanover. He's a firearms instructor. And so he comes down and puts our guys through. And thankfully from Hanover, they don't charge us for that. They pay Anthony for the day, and he comes down and puts us through the usual training. But right now, we do it in the town gravel pit.
I understand. What I'm suggesting is there might be other training that Plainfield doesn't normally do, that they could be involved in with Lebanon.
Yep.
And that cross training wouldn't be bad either, but it's none of my business. That's a whole separate thing. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to go off on a bird walk.
We might not want our police officers being charmed away by the Lebanon.
Good point.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That is a
could happen,
potential
too.
risk, yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, I'm done.
All right, other questions or comments from the finance committee? Well,
So our
Yes.
plan going forward is, we finish out the year in the next couple of weeks. We've got our dates for our audit. That's in mid-January, Plodzik and Sanderson. But by the time we put out the next budget, and a couple of us have got to get over this flu thing that's going around. But by the time we put out the next budget, we should have pretty good numbers for actuals for the year, and that'll allow us to make some further adjustments. We understand maybe we don't budget enough in some areas, but we understand what we understand about what it costs to operate the town at a level of service that I think people want. I mean, the one thing that we didn't talk about tonight, and you guys, I know you just accepted it because it's here. You know, the TOTA program has a built-in escalator every year for 5 years, and so that takes a big hit. The trash collection, Lebanon landfill, not too many years ago was $68 a ton. It's now going to be $155 a ton. The success story in our program there was that we really did a swag in understanding what we were going to be able to, you know, would people buy a sticker to put on their toter? You tell them it's $195, but it's for the year. How is that going to go? We budgeted we hope to collect 150,000. We've met that goal. So that's a positive thing. But by the time we have our next meeting or our next gathering on the budget and selectmen's meeting, we'll have a more refined look at what the proposed numbers are going to be. The thing that would really help us is, and you know, we've got some people on the finance committee that are good numbers people. We are not particularly strong in the town administration, and I mean select board and town administrator, on knowing anything about graders. We've got to make a very difficult decision there on the grader, and we would like your input, even if it's just on the number side, you know, about whether we, you know, should we look at trying to rent one, you know, just hire it out for a year. If it's a disaster, that's the advantage. You know, that helps you the next year when you make the case that you're going to buy one. I think I could get Alan Rowell to agree to come spring and fall, and we could get Robbie or Kevin to agree to do the touch-up emergency work. The number's going to look just like a payment. It's not going to be any different. And so if that's the case, then maybe we just want to move and get 1 year under our belt and lease the gosh darn thing. But we really do need as much input. I mean, I'm seeking it from our biggest critics around town, in which we have, of what they think we should do about the grader. I'm seeking it from our local equipment dealer. Townline Equipment cannot sell us a grader. They don't sell graders, but they know the business. So I'm working a little bit with Drew Marazzo on that. And again, I just think that's it's a classic example of the capital reserve program being a plan, and that plan, you know, if you want to hear God laugh, just tell them your plans. We said we were going to buy a grader 2027. Or 2030. We're going to buy a grader in 2026 or 2027. It sounds like, or not. I mean, you know, and so input from you guys on the grader would be great. I'm in search of other companies. You know, Alan Rowell's not the only guy that offers grading. But my point is, you know, we understand what the beans cost and how to count the beans in terms of running the town. What we want to be sure is that we make a real sound decision on what grader we purchase or what grader service we purchase. So hoping to get your help with that over the course of the next month.
Well, and I appreciate the fact that you've given us a really comprehensive suite of options. You know, I mean, that doesn't necessarily make the decision easier, but at least it feels like you're making an objective and informed decision, which is the best we can do, right? For the
Right. I
cost
mean, in
of doing
some ways,
business.
it's like one of those AED machines. You know, you can say, well, you only use it once every 4 or 5 years, and it costs $2,000. But the day you need it in your shop.
And it's as soon as it saves somebody's life. Yeah, exactly.
So I think Rich feels the same way about a grader. You know, It's easy for you, Halloran, in the town office to say, you know, hire it out, Rich, hire it out, manage the people you're hiring, hire it out. He's the one who has to deal with the problem that he's got a road that's washed out, and we own a gravel pit, and we have no grader to spread it. You know, and so it's those kinds of things, and so we'll talk more about it. But that's just an area where we really need your guys' help.
All right. With that,
Thank you, Finance Committee.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
And
Safe travels to everybody that's headed off on some kind of a Christmas. I've been put in a bubble here at the town office. The staff wants to be able to go to Christmas at their parents' house. And they do not want me to give them the flu because they know I'm gonna be over it long before Christmas. And they're
Well,
gonna be just getting it at
Steve, I hope
Christmas.
you can get some rest too. We appreciate your not postponing this meeting tonight, even though you probably should have for your health, but you know, it's the time on all this is reality. So thank you for coming to us from your office with your tea. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second that. All those in favor? All right,
Aye.
our meeting is
Good night,
adjourned.
everybody.
Thank you all
Ciao.
and
Good
happy
night.
holidays.
We covered a lot of stuff tonight.
Oh, let me stop recording. Hold on.
Brad is a little bit glazed.